Hello everyone, welcome to the Mind Hype Podcast. Thanks for joining us. This is Z. Okay, we have a small video on our YouTube page currently titled Love and Hate. It is a small excerpt from the last podcast, number 16, about the balance of love and hate. And in today's episode, we talk about a lot of things like we usually do. Some of the topics that we talk about include being more aware about the functions of our body and our mind in order to observe our thoughts. We talk about conditioning our brains in order to learn new habits and even using that to get into the flow state. Flow state is a state of mind where you can almost go on and on with the work you're doing, and you can be extremely productive without getting distracted. We get into that. We also talk about how open placebos work. We talk about the illusion of money and the power of belief, and how something as abstract as money is in today's day and age, and how it has so much power just because we believe it does. We talk about what happens when you push capitalism to its limits. We also talk about the brilliant new Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Lastly, we also get into politics like we do with most episodes, and we talk about the idea of possibly living forever if we can live just for the next few years. Alright then, let's start.
If anything moves, it'll just be a blur. So they have to keep it up.
Yeah, we had a hard time taking a picture. We were trying to take a picture of a campfire once, but it's just so hard for everybody to stay still.
Yeah,
get the long exposure.
Every time I see these type of wallpapers where you see like the the Milky Way in the background, I feel like that is like the answer to world peace. If we all could see that every night, every day, it will definitely humble down everyone's ego and put things to perspective. We don't have that image, so the curiosity is not there. We just go on our daily lives, not questioning things.
Right. But there's a lot of things that come before that too. Like there's a lot of buildup, a lot of stuff you've done before that got you that point. I could look up to that Milky Way and it could do nothing, even if I could see it, if I didn't have all that knowledge and experience beforehand.
But I mean, people in the past, that didn't have light pollution, all they did was look up in the stars and wonder which gods were these, or that's got to be the heavens. Those lights are the heavens. Those are our ancestors looking down at us. All these great stories, and progression of science came from that era.
I think even like more so with religion, and a lot of religions have prayer and things like that. Meditation, I feel like Hosman, I'm sure, could come agree on this. Meditation would, if everyone could somehow meditate and observe their own thoughts. So like, why do they hate a certain group of people, or people that are like, say, racist or prejudiced? Like, if they just answer the why.
Yeah, I think right now we were talking about the reptilian brain, and I was thinking about your first instinct, because of the reptilian brain, is anger, like hunger. Like, all right, I want to eat sugar or have this thing right now. But if you observe your thought, you can go to that second layer. What is it called again? That second layer of the brain?
Mammalian.
Yeah, so when you go to that, maybe you can actually understand why I'm having this craving or why I'm having this anger right now. And when you observe it, you can control it. It's crazy. You were saying something about the shower last time and how you observed your thought and were able to get through it. Yeah,
so like one of our, I think it was a love-hate video that we did, and I think there's a part of it where you're talking about, and that thought sprung from that video when I was making it, where in that video you talk about how, like, love is a chemical, so is hate. And when you're doing certain process, if you become aware of what you're doing, then you can maybe alter the way you perceive it. So anyway, like lately what I've been doing is anytime if I do something, out of the ordinary, or I usually never used to think of it. I just went on along with it, whatever my brain was telling me to do at that moment. But when when you try to be self-aware of why you're doing certain things you're doing, why you're reacting a certain way, if you just observe that, like if you just look at it from like outside of your body and and see what the hell's going on inside your brain, it's very unique to see how you would change the course of your action by just being aware. So one of my things, I don't know, maybe it might happen to a lot of people too, but like every time I take a shower, I literally have to like stand so far back. And when the shower starts, like I have to like put my fingers in first, let them then my toes, and I have to like slowly walk into it. I can't. I don't know. Just my body just jumps when the water hits me. So
that's just being a wuss, man.
That
probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're just being a pussy, bro.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's something in my it's some sort of chemical reaction.
No, I get what you're saying.
In my brain but growing up, that's always happened. Anytime like water starts, I literally have to like phase myself into the water. And then, so ever since you told me that, like I was like trying to become self-aware of it. So this time when the shower went, I'm gonna stay directly underneath the shower and not move, right? And just observe what's happening in my brain as a science experiment. And as soon as I did that, my brain just told me to jump out of the water. Like, all these signals are like firing, and that only lasted a few milliseconds, and everything was normal. So like nothing happened, like all this fear, oh the water's too cold, you don't go in it, or water's too hot, so
Your
forth.
shower lasted only a few milliseconds. What the heck?
My reaction to it.
I know.
Yeah,
bad joke.
and that's actually a really good
happens.
point. Like people say that actually research shows that if you can get past that initial moment.
Yeah.
So for instance, if you have a craving for sugar, just observe that craving and understand it. It might go away in 5 minutes, and you're like, why did I even have that craving? It just comes and goes. Similar to that experience in your shower, it just happened in milliseconds and went away, and you were okay.
And there's all these weird things our brain does, and we all have our, those moments that relates to my shower moment, if you will. But I'm trying to. It's really hard. I'm not. It's it's part of like meditating, becoming self-aware. But I am trying to put this process in everything else, like in an argument, like your brain is reacting, and all these chemical reactions are happening. Or like caving into like cravings, and when you're eating, I should eat a little bit more.
It certainly is universal. It does apply to just about everything, and it helps everything. It's pretty awesome.
I think that reptilian brain is the first thing to kick in. That's always your initial reaction through just because of biology, and then your other brain can come to it if you give it time.
Yeah,
when you observe
I'm
that
sure
thing.
it takes a lot of practice and whatnot, because there are sometimes we are doing things subconsciously and thinking and just going with the flow. But as soon as you become aware, start questioning your chain of thoughts.
Would would it be smart to then, anytime you're making a decision with just about anything, wait for that second brain to kick in? Like, okay, I have a craving for sugar. I'm going to give it a second. I'm going to let my second brain come in. And if that one confirms it, then go for it.
Yeah, because then it can show you like how stupid you are in that moment. Like you have a goal, this is not good for you, but that craving comes in, it overwrites everything. That's stupid. But you can wait 5 minutes and see if it passes, or you can, so what some people do is they go even further. When that thing comes in, they punish themselves.
Slap
If you have a sugar cravings,
How can she slap?
if you have a sugar craving or you're working on something and you go on Reddit or YouTube, you start procrastinating, go down and do 10 push-ups.
Yeah.
Punish yourself, and then that will evolve to, your brain will evolve to relate those things, and you can get away from stuff like that. They've used it for alcoholics, actually, and it worked.
What is that word called when you're doing that? When you're conditioning yourself? Well,
Conditioning, yeah.
Got the
So
term.
I think the brain itself, I think it's called neuroplasticity, where basically that's if the brain is open to change. For example, your daughter, she's young, her brain is neuroplastic, where she can change things right away, but we're conditioned to a point where it's hard for us to change our habits.
Right. So you also like changing your
The level of
neural
neuroplasticity,
pathways.
yeah.
Right. That's what you're referring to. Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. You can do that with so many things, and I think they say language is the biggest thing. If you learn a new language, you create new pathways in your neurology. Is that what you would say? Maybe.
I think it's called neurogenesis. We actually create.
So if I want to lose weight, I should learn a new language. It will help with that process.
It would help in that for sure. Yeah, then you can. But I think it would be easier to lose weight than to learn. But yeah, but
like you stick to the same diet, but all you do is learn.
It's not the most efficient way, but it can work.
They do say that working out is a keystone habit. So meaning that that learning to work out helps you develop other habits. Like it's that one habit, it's that one big domino that helps you develop other small habits by being able to work out every day or, be more healthy. That keystone habit basically helps you develop all the other small habits that you're trying to condition yourself.
Right. And this reminds me of a funny thing. So imagine if you're working on something and you go to Reddit, YouTube, like we were talking about, and you punish yourself. You do 10 push-ups. The funny thing is, I read this on the What I've Learned YouTube channel. So he just did that to punish himself. But what he realized was he started doing 30 push-ups or 40. He got better and better at punishing himself. And then he got more creative. He actually went back and his brain was ready to get working and get creative again. So it had like
it probably cleared all the procrastination thoughts that he was probably having by doing those push-ups. You just restart your brain. And then that flow of thoughts probably come back.
Yeah, so there's like a correlation with flow state and that whole system.
I gotta try that. I think.
Yeah.
10 push-ups every time you feel like getting distracted with something. Yeah. And then go.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try that too.
And it's a win-win. You're getting exercise out of it. So like to the guy's point, he started with doing 10, but the more you do it, the more efficient you get at it, and the stronger.
Yeah, it gets easier, right?
Yeah,
so start at something easy, 5, 10, whatever it is, whatever 10, your easiest thing is.
10 is pretty good.
Yeah.
And it would probably take you a few seconds to do that, 30 seconds.
Yeah. And then see if you get back into the flow state. That would be pretty insane. And
it'd be funny as soon as you sit down, you do something, distract yourself again. You go another 10, another 10.
Yeah,
you're just there whole night just doing push-ups.
Yeah, that would be insane. So I've been reading a lot about how some people get into the flow state. So that's one of them, right? Exercise or doing something extreme, like people that do extreme things. You get so focused. Like when basketball is not that extreme, right? But you're only thinking about getting the ball through the net. You're not thinking about, oh my God, I got rent due tomorrow or anything like that.
Yeah, so, when you're at that moment when you're there.
I think Joe Rogan talks about like shooting. What does he do? He like shoots.
He talks about archery.
Archery, yeah, he does archery, and he talks about how that gets you into a flow state because your mind is so clear and focused on one task.
Yeah, I guess especially with sports, because you're using your whole body at that point to function. So like, there's I guess less room for being distracted and thinking those thoughts about paying bills or whatever. Because your motor and your both thinking, all your brain's being utilized in every function to work as a team, coordinate a shot, or if you're just playing one-on-one, whatever. But when you're working on a computer, it's just that screen and your fingers, so it's not that much. There's room for your brain to use that energy to distract yourself, I guess.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Also, you sit in a position that's not very healthy. You know what I mean? Like you're sitting in a position that's not very active. It's not like your brain. So your brain's supposed to be super active when your body's super lazy.
Yeah. So
it's like in a static position while your brain's supposed to be, Yeah,
that's a really good point, because they say that to get into I guess not a flow state, but to come up with really creative ideas, you got to be really calm, and your mind has to be at a point where it's relaxed. You're not like forcing yourself to be creative. So one thing they say is like, say you take a hot shower. Mm-hmm. When you come back, have something in your hand that you can drop and hear. I don't know what it would be. What do you think we can hold in our hand and drop it, and it would make a sound that would wake you up? Can you think of something? And they made a point about it. I can't remember what it was.
What do you mean? You're falling asleep and you want to drop something?
So the idea is that you take a hot shower. If you're not in the flow state and you're not being creative, you take a hot shower, you go and lay in your couch, and you let your mind just wander into different ideas, but you don't want to fall asleep, right? You just want to wander off in your mind. So you have something in your hand that you can drop.
Oh, as soon as you actually fall asleep.
So you wake back up.
Why don't you drop a glass?
that might be really extreme.
There you go.
I was talking to this one scientist, and she was telling me about something cool. So I talked to her like a lot about weed. I'm like, weed has all these benefits, and I'm just that, I've got that stoner talk going. And she's telling me, she's like, I don't kind of believe that part where it can make you more creative. So I met up with her, and she was telling me about this thing. It's called an open placebo experiment. So you're taking a placebo. So you're like, all right, doctor, I want a placebo to make me more creative. So doctor, he's like, okay, what do you think that pill looks like? Well, you're like, well, I think it should be big or it should be whatever, So he gives you a placebo, and you're taking a placebo, and he can even make it taste like whatever you want. And they did a trial on this. So that person reported, or these people, that they felt more creative after taking a placebo. And, you know, when people normally think about placebos, it's like, you know, people don't know they're taking it, but they knew they were taking it. And just by convincing themselves that that pill would make a difference, they all are reported feeling more creative.
It's the way your mindset
all
becomes.
Yeah, so I was actually reading the study right now, but yeah, it's basically, you know, it's statistically significant.
So the success rate was almost 100%. Like everyone felt some sort of.
Again, I would have to go into the stats for that. I don't know if it's 100%, but
I think
enough to
anything-
say enough to say what the hell is going on. I mean, it's an open placebo. It just made me laugh.
Yeah.
So he was saying, you know, you're taking this about weed, maybe just how you think.
Yeah, I guess statistically significant would be anything over 50%, right?
I think maybe it might be hand in hand. You know, it makes you creative, so you play
Exactly.
you play that role,
Yeah,
and then
she
also
was just laughing about it. She was like, "It's just so funny, you know. People can, as long as you can convince yourself."
No, I meant like in terms of weed. When people do say it makes you creative, so that it's like let's say placebo in itself,
exactly.
right?
The way you're thinking about it, I think.
And the second part is that maybe it does. There are chemical reactions that opens your brain to ponder. So probably it's
you're
like
right. So both do that same,
Yeah.
or both cause those chemical reactions.
Yeah.
By you just believing it's gonna do it.
Yeah,
Or it might not even be those reactions, actually, because they say that to be creative, your mind has to be in a relaxed state of mind.
right.
And that's what weed does for a lot of people.
Yeah,
But I don't know. If you're already in a relaxed state of mind, it might
need
not
it?
work. Maybe
Yeah.
it takes you, like I just fall asleep.
Well, I mean, I'm.
I get too relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that might be just nice too.
Yeah.
I mean, like having
It
a
is.
nap's not a bad thing.
Oh, it's like one of the,
Yeah, I mean,
man,
you're resting.
after a smoke, yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Smoking is great.
No, I just lost my train of thought thinking about smoking.
Oh, shit.
Be right
He's
back.
gotta take,
Be right back.
That was my thought.
yeah.
Oh, I was just thinking about consciousness, how creativity is linked to consciousness, and how whether you're taking a drug or you go for a run or anything, right? Like I always get my best ideas, and I think a lot of people do when I'm not doing the work.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So if you go travel or something, you're going outside. So basically, the one thing that all this has in common is that you're trying to go outside your consciousness.
Yeah.
If you put on a song, you're trying to change your consciousness, go outside of the box a little bit as much as you can, or to the edge of it, and then or if you go for a run, you're trying to go outside your consciousness. So these are just ways to go outside your consciousness, you know?
Yeah.
Whether it's weed, whether it's an open placebo, we're just trying to find that way, and that's what I think. That's where I think that creativity comes in.
Speaking of consciousness, I know the way we're working on AI and whatnot right now, and we want it to be as intelligent as possible. Has AI, like any AI that we've created, come up with an idea on its own yet? Like it comes up with an idea?
I don't think those AIs.
Because that would mean it's thinking.
No, the current AIs are just logic based. I think they're not that advanced where they give it a set of rules and it, responses within that rule. So like, there's some robots that you can talk to, but I forgot, it's like a long time ago I watched this video, but like those structures of responses are based on something that's already pre-built into the system,
So all AI is going to probably be like that though, and it will never come up with an idea of its
the
own.
future AI is going to be us. That's the idea.
I think that's way too foolish to say from what it is right now. I mean,
yeah,
we don't know what the future holds at all.
So there's 3 levels of artificial intelligence. One is artificial narrow intelligence, like your calculator or even a Facebook algorithm. Then number 2 is artificial general intelligence, which is like human level. Then the third one, which we're all scared of, is super intelligence. Yeah. So I think we're at level 1, almost at level 2, but we're still not at level 2 yet.
I think last week when we were talking about it, like I was reading a book, and I just hate the fact that my brain is getting some like amazing knowledge that I can't retain when I need to sometimes recollect on it. So when you read a book, you don't remember things word to word. You just remember the best things, and you take it with you, and they stay with you as long as they can, as long as you use them. And as years go by, and slowly parts of it fade away. But the AI will not have that problem. They will be.
Retain 100% of information.
They will read every human information about science and technology, and will learn things in a month, and then just retain all that information.
Yeah.
And what they do with that information is just you can't imagine where they will take it to what level.
Yeah.
That And I was thinking, man, if we had that capability of like, knowledge is power. The more you read, the more you know, the smarter and knowledgeable you are about things. And if they can retain every information they ever read or touch, or every conversation they ever had, have it memorized word to word, so you can't, you can fact check people like in a snap of a finger.
Spot,
Yeah. Like, you didn't say that. I remember exactly at this time you said, blah, 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 blah. And they could probably even play an audio of that conversation.
Right.
It would be insane, man. Like,
it would be insane. I guess there are small hacks. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I wish we could have that super intelligent, but there are small hacks you can do to kind of retain information.
Yeah.
Because, the brain decides for us what it wants to retain. It's not up to us. But you could, like something that you read or hear that you really like, write it with your hands.
Yeah, but
you're more likely to retain that information.
Correct. But, that's true. But it's still not at a level of, exponential.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean,
it's a scary and beautiful like thing at the same time. So like what's horrible about that is just thinking about it now, like, how when someone dies, how do you get over someone's death? Mm-hmm. It's that memory to fade away slowly. You occupy your brain with other things in life, and as you move on, and slowly the pain gets easier and easier because your memories of them are fading slowly. But if you're super intelligent, you're gonna remember the love every day that you lost this thing. The pain's the burden is gonna be there every day. So
that's a Black Mirror episode, by the way. Where you have the choice. Do you want to retain all your memories, or do you want to lose some of them?
So would you wanna? So I guess they would probably have to go check themselves in and erase certain. If it is so painful where they cannot be themselves anymore, do you go in and wipe some of that data out, or?
I think you would have to. I mean, I'm thinking about if you lose a close one and you retain that exact memory of that day over and over, how are you going to move on? Would you get anything done?
Even if it's something like that, should you be able to would you have to go into a clinic to have that kind of information deleted? For them? Or can you just plug yourself into a computer?
Yeah, I wonder if they can reformat their own brain.
And that'd be a problem, though.
Well, it's going to start off with you going to a clinic, like Eternal Spotless Mind movie with Jim Carrey. You go to a clinic, but over time, of course, you will have your own kit at home.
If you do create an AI, you wouldn't want it to where it can delete its data, because then that means anything is hackable. That means if there are society of AIs living amongst us, that means you and I can just maybe hold one down, maybe not hold one down, probably just reformat them. Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying anyone in general.
But are we going to stop it? I don't think so. Look, we have regulations and encryption on privacy, but you can always hack through. There's always another level, another person that will find a way through it.
The backdoor, yeah, and
then you cover that backdoor.
Especially AI.
It's going to keep going back and forth.
So there's got to be AI that's coded to create a backdoor, breaks it, recreate it. So there's going to be one that's creating and one that's destroying it. There's going to be a ladder that they have to keep climbing. There's gonna be an AI that's built for the good. There's gonna be an AI that's built, to break that other AI.
Yeah.
Exactly. But no, I'm just saying if the AIs do live among us, they shouldn't be able to just plug themselves in and do things. So that means anyone can do that. Like, someone can just hold them down and just reprogram their brain, and you can just take maybe hundreds of people and just reprogram them to vote for you or cater for you. You know what I mean?
But it would be like you would have a pin like you do for your debit card. You go and you put a pin. It's not like you just plug in like a phone or something and just go into the files.
I'm sure like the way I'm thinking, like the future AI probably is gonna be all Wi-Fi. It's gonna be updates and stuff like that.
But I mean, hold on.
The future is amazing.
Right now we have regulations against hacking, but there's super intelligent teen hackers in some corner of the world that still find a way.
Yeah, just to show they can break it. Yeah. Some of these people that do hack don't even do it for the wrong reason. Yeah, they just do it for the thrill of it.
Just for the fun. I mean, did you see the recent thing that happened with PlayStation? You know how much money they spend on encryption? Yeah. Yet there's a group of people that find a way because they're so intelligent. They find a back door.
Yeah. Didn't they say like, I can tell you where it is? And PlayStation apparently Sony was like, no, it's very encrypted.
You're talking about overloading the servers and crashing them? Because those guys are douchebags.
No, they can. No. They actually hack the.
I'm talking about the people that stole the credit card information from the PlayStation Network.
I'm thinking about like the PlayStation 4. I'm thinking about like there's a bunch of trolls that they'll make an announcement, like either for Xbox or PlayStation, like on this day we're gonna crash your servers, and then they panic because they do it they always do it on a holiday weekend where kids are gonna go play online together.
That's just asshole, but still, I mean,
they just overload their servers and just crash them.
I mean, it reminds me of Mr. Robot. You know, the TV show. Like,
Yeah,
what does
yeah.
that guy do? This super intelligent dude.
Yeah.
You know, he finds a way to turn. I mean, everyone knows that money is not actually physical. It's
Yeah.
all numbers on a
Yeah.
computer. And he decides to
what's
turn
it?
all those millions into
Yuan
zeros.
Ferrari, whatever.
Yeah.
I love his
Acting,
explanation of the dollar. You know, the dollars. That it's just the greatest story that a man has created. Like
Yeah,
the
it's
money.
like the one illusion that we all believe in.
I think it's
Yeah.
a good system.
It's a good system, but it's still just an
We get-
illusion.
Yeah, it's definitely a
not real.
system. Yeah, it's not real. It's not real, but wouldn't you rather have
It
it?
is
Like,
real.
how would you do all these things right now? You would have to go
It's
get
not
your own
about-
food all the time.
It's not about not having it. It's about like how people feel about it actually impacts the value of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so weird.
I think you're the
yeah.
one who mentioned in prior podcasts if like economy was to crash, we can just start a new system and just give it the money the same value that it already had, right? Just the
Yeah.
value that we give it. As soon as we
Yeah.
sell it crash, it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
Those are man-made inputs, you know.
Exactly.
So like
Exactly.
so we can just hit the restart button and say, yeah, we fucked up,
Yeah.
but we're gonna pretend the dollar is still worth this much, and let's just continue our
And
lives.
if we all did pretend, it would work.
It would work.
Yeah.
But no,
Dude,
not
yeah.
isn't. I don't think it's that simple. But the dollar amount and its value also lies on credibility, like because a lot of money is being loaned around China, U.S., etc.
So you make a good point that this like illusion does have stuff. does have
consequences.
stuff. Yeah, it does have consequences.
Yeah.
But it's still there. You know, if you could still use it. You know?
Yeah. So let's say if this, I mean, the economy crashing in 2008 was pretty devastating. You know, if it gets to the point where it goes through the super Great Depression, where you know it could lead to wars, it could lead to poor people rising, and just if you want to hit the restart button on that, you can just say, hey guys, let's just go back to pretending the dollar's worth this.
Well, let
know.
me put it this way: the stuff you own doesn't really lose value. Like, for
Yeah.
example, this laptop can still do what it can do. You
Yeah.
know, that's not going to do any less of it. And for example, if you could still okay, so this is the best example I've like ever been told. This guy once told me, he's like, you know, a lot of people say that, or the common wisdom says that how we got out of the Great Depression is that we had World War II, right? Because we had to build all those airplanes and all those.
The Great Depression was in the 60s.
No, it was in 1920s, 29, I think, and then the World War II was 1940. So they say that the World War II got us out of the Great Depression. That's when like America became great again.
Yeah, 1929 to 1939 was a Great Depression.
Yeah, so I think World War II is 1939 or 1940.
Yeah, it's right.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, 41 is D-Day, I think.
Yeah.
So the whole point was, so the common wisdom says that World War II got us out of the Great Depression. But then if you think about it, what if we made all those airplanes, helicopters, missiles, and we just threw them into the ocean?
Yeah.
We still made them. You still paid for people to do them.
yeah.
It's not like killing people made us money. It was just making those things.
Yeah.
Can we
So-
make something that we can all just use instead of throwing it away?
Because
So the best thing to do, I think, if like the economy is not doing great, if the value of the dollar is going down, is to build your own house, build your roads, build your
Yeah.
houses, build
So-
your infrastructure.
so that it all comes from the government and the budget of where they allocate that money, right? So at that point, you know, creating these weapons and stuff like that was a priority to do it, and it was like a win-win. You know, it was help to fight the war and also bring us out of the Great Depression, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
So like if something like that does happen in the future, like our last economy when it collapsed in 08, what instead of doing the things that you're saying, we took billions of dollars and just gave it back to the banks.
What if
We
the
bailed them out.
And they didn't put it back into the country. They didn't give a single dollar. Everyone just got bonuses, you know, and they pocketed all the money they got, and that's sign of corruption. But if you do have like a good infrastructure set up, that same money could have been used to make, you know, hire construction workers to build houses or build whatever.
What if you just
know?
gave that money to the people?
Yeah.
What if we just like erased all of our debt?
Yeah.
But why? You don't control the system. That's the whole thing. The banks, these powerful people, they control the system. They made the system what it is today. So of course
They
it's going to
collapsed it and they benefited
and
out.
benefited from
Yeah.
it. But
They-
you know what Shaz said is a good point. Of course, you can kind of just, you know, money is an illusion, and you can just kind of, even if it collapses, you can be like, go back to whatever value you want.
Yeah.
But you have hundreds of countries. China's going to say one thing. U.S., you have
Right.
to bring them all together and be like, all right, this is what the dollar is worth.
Right.
That's hard
Yeah, of course.
once it
It's got-
collapses.
yeah, so you got to get everyone on the same page.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about like how you're going to benefit, obviously there's going to be a plan and structure. It's not easy to say, hey, let's hit that button, let's go back to it. You're going to need everyone to come on board and say, this is a new story we're starting now. We fucked up the whole story.
Couldn't
It's a new
ego come
chapter.
play a part in that too? Could be like India could just be like, fine, if the $1 is worth this, then we're worth $4 our rupee,
Yeah.
and it becomes like an ego
Yeah,
battle.
of course.
I guess at that point you would have to start from scratch. You have to look at
mean,
who's
so
producing
there has to
what,
be a system. There
who's
has to be
producing what.
credibility
Yeah.
and stuff.
I guess if we're talking about fixing a global one is going to be probably not possible at all. To your point, there's just too many parties, too many ways of thoughts. There's no way you can collaborate at that level. I'm just talking from like a United States perspective. We wanted to hit that reset button.
Yeah,
At a global level, there's no. It'll be a utopia to think of that we will.
But you can't
unify. We can't even unify on basic shits in the world right now.
You can't have your dollar worth one thing domestically and a different
so
thing internationally.
I just wanted to go to that, like the actual quote from Alan Watts. He goes, "Think about the Great Depression. One day everything was going along fine. Everybody was pretty wealthy and had plenty to eat. And the next day, everybody was in poverty. What happened? Did the farms disappeared? Had the cows vanished into thin air? Had the fish of the sea ceased to exist? Had human beings lost their energy, their skills, and their brains? No, this is what happened. On the morning after the beginning of the depression, a carpenter came to work, and the foreman said to him, 'Sorry, chum, you can't work today. There ain't no inches.'" And then he goes on to say, it's like, we just confuse reality sometimes. And he said, it's like thinking that the menu is your dinner, The menu is not your dinner. It's not like we lost the energy to do work, to make things. It's just that we thought we did.
We lost a system that
supported it. Yeah, the system collapsed. So then
we lost the stories.
Why did we go into the Great Depression
Yvonne
again?
Harari, whatever.
I'm sorry?
So this is a story.
Why did we go into the Great Depression?
I think it basically, I don't remember that actually. Well, I mean, I think it was just that the same thing that happened is just
banks were collapsing.
Stock market crashed.
Yeah, I think banks were collapsing.
Wiped out millions of investors. Doesn't money seem like matter? It can't be like destroyed. I mean, the money was still there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
so
all
weird.
It's
Like, what is money? First of all, let's define money. Money is just a system of trade. Like you're gonna work and you're gonna produce something and you're gonna be able to trade that for something I produce. It's just a barter system, and it's easy because it's money. You don't have to give gold and store chickens.
Fine, but during the Great Depression, money was still there. Why did? I mean, I don't get how it even.
I'm sure like the big banks or something big probably failed, and then it was just a domino effect.
Yeah, the big banks were probably trying to make a shitload of money. They fucked up, and then that probably just affected everybody.
Is banks said loan out money that give people to start other and invest back into the system. So once that system collapses, and there's just a domino effect, and it just collapses on itself.
The Great Depression lasted from 1929 to 1941. A main cause of the Great Depression was overproduction. So you just make too much shit, and you don't have like enough people to buy it.
Yeah. So supply and demand.
Yeah, supply and demand.
So when supplies go up, then you lose a shitload of money if there's not demand behind it.
Yeah.
Like so basically, it was an ordinary recession, and then that kind of went to a depression.
You guys seen a picture like I think somewhere from Illinois or Chicago? There's a lady. It was during the Great Depression, selling her kids, and she has a sign out on her front door saying 3 kids for sale.
Really? Selling her kids? Huh.
Yeah.
What?
That shit was real. Yeah. Wow. During the Great Depression, she, I guess, had a lot of kids and couldn't afford them anymore, so she was just selling her kids.
Jesus.
There's a sign out on her door saying "Need money, 3 kids for sale." It's kind of weird.
Wow.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary what you're willing to do when you're at your last piece of bread almost,
Yeah.
It's probably, I mean, like you said, she can't even feed her kids. She can't feed herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, stories from the Great Depression are very sad. Like, people had nothing to eat. We were basically in like
starving.
A famine. Yeah, they were starving to death.
Which is funny because I thought they overproduced.
Just not food, I guess, right?
Yeah. It could be other things.
Overproduced the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It says farms were producing more goods than people could afford to buy.
So what's happening there?
Well, people didn't have enough money, and everything is so high in price. Those people don't want to sell at like a low price. They still want their money, but people are starving.
As a result, prices fell. Factories closed, and workers. People were just people were laid off. The prices fell, and they still couldn't afford it.
Yeah,
they just had no money because everyone was getting laid off.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want that to happen again.
It's crazy how events can turn overnight based on how this story is being told to us. You know,
Yeah.
as soon as we saw this story that we care about this dollar is not worth anything anymore, then everything loses value and we're just fucked. Because going to work, you know, you're like, if you go to work and those people that have money and currency that they give you is not, if they can't give you anything of value, you won't go to work. So it's just a domino effect overnight. Everything just shuts down.
Yeah.
It's just
I really like that quote in Game of Thrones with Varys and the midget, I forget his name.
what is it?
Where
I
they
can't recall it.
go over the riddle of where power lies. And it's this whole riddle that they go through, but at the end they're like, you know, where does power lie? It lies where the people believe it lies. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
Tyrion.
Tyrion.
Tyron Lue. That's a Cavs coach, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's yes. So this goes into what we've been talking about for the last few weeks. What's that theory? Accelerationism, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you accelerate things to a certain point, where does that system take you? And that thought is just fucking amazing. You know, like where does our system, our current democracy system that we have, you know, at least someone in the United States, if you push it to as far as you can, where does that system?
Yeah.
Where does it go?
I would argue it's not even democracy we're talking about
Yeah,
anymore.
just any
because
system,
it's,
right?
well, I mean, if we're talking about democracy in America, it's not really democracy.
Yeah.
We're actually talking about capitalism or neoliberal governism.
Yeah.
You know? Because if it was actual democracy, like definition democracy, that's not what we have in America anymore.
we have an illusion of it.
We have the illusion of it,
'cause
right?
We do feel like, I mean, we can go vote. We can.
Yeah.
We have these representatives
Yeah.
that we vote every 2 years or
Right.
so.
However, if we're talking about pushing, let's say, the American system to its limits,
Yeah.
we're not really talking about democracy, because then if you push democracy to the limits, you get great things.
Yeah.
You get freedom, you get rights, you get everyone's voices heard. But that's
Right.
not what happens when you push the American system to its limit. You know why?
Why?
Because it's not democracy, it's actually capitalism.
That's
Everything is
driving
for
it.
profit.
Yeah.
So you have to look at the right thing. Like, if you push capitalism to its limit
Where
and
does that
everything's
take
for profit, what happens?
The rich get richer, the poor get poorer.
Exactly.
That's the system that we. What's messed up about it is that, you know, us human beings, you know, even the majority of the people that are poor that don't benefit from the system, always feel like, but I could get rich in the system.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we keep it
Yeah.
alive. You know, if I work hard, if I do this, if I go to school, if I get a PhD, or if I get a master's degree, you know, if I put a time into it, I could reap benefit from the system. But the gap is just like, you know, like an expanding universe, if you will, just expanding. The people that made it. You know, your what are those big companies like the Johnson & Johnson,
Yeah.
what are some of the big families that, you know, started from when the country, these people were like investors.
The Rothschild family.
Yeah. And the money's just been rolling in, and now these people and their families are just going to reap benefits no matter going forward.
Yeah.
They have so much money that they can create companies, go bankrupt, and still have so much money left to do whatever the hell they want. But they just hope and feeling that, you know, well, I also have the opportunity to do this, and that's why the system doesn't change, because no one wants to live in a. I guess people would rather have an illusion where if they work hard, they can become billionaires. You know, like Bill Gates.
Yeah.
But we don't realize that's like not even a 1 in a million. It's more than that. You know, there's 350 million people living in the United States. How many have we seen turn into Bill Gates?
Yeah. Very small amount. Yeah.
Not even a percent, right?
Yeah.
But that hope is worth more to people than, you know, having a society or system where everyone has equal share.
Yeah. I have a slightly different viewpoint in that I agree that it's an illusion, of course, but I think it's this illusion, this story is very fed to us.
Yeah.
It's always in the news. We're actually conditioned to believe this story, that the American dream, everyone has an equal opportunity, everyone can do this and that. But the thing is, when you go to college, you come out, even if you get a bunch of scholarships, you have like a $30,000, you know, debt.
Yeah.
And you're already
more than that.
Yeah, more than that.
It's gone up to like hundreds.
Crazy amount, especially when you see medical students, when they come out, they spend like their entire life just paying off their debt.
Yeah. When I was going to school, like it was it was about like 16,000 a year. The
Yeah.
same, university that I was going to now. It's like I was looking at it to take some additional courses. It's gone up to like freaking like almost 28 to 30,000. And if that's what it costed back then, I couldn't afford that school.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, I'm still paying that shit off.
Yeah, I just paid my loans off, I think, just last year.
Damn, that's awesome.
Feels great to
Yeah.
have paid it off, but
But there's
You
some
know-
people that what I feel bad for, how many students go to college 2 years into the fucking system, they realize they don't want to do this anymore.
Mhm.
And there's, like now, like school costs like 25 to 30K a year
yeah.
in college. So if you went 2 years and you realize you don't want to waste your life doing the shit that you thought you're going to succeed in, you're 60K in,
Yeah.
you're anywhere from like 40 to 60K in, and you're
Yeah.
fucked paying that shit off.
And that's why the smartest
Yeah.
kids that were looked down upon back when I was going to school, it's
Yeah.
like the people that took a year off from going to college, just took a year off and
Yeah.
said like, you know what, I'm going to figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
Those were the smart kids.
Yeah.
First figure out what the hell you want to do before you put like $30,000 a
Yeah.
year into your college tuition.
I did change my major twice, but it was
Yeah.
it still didn't affect. I was still able to graduate within the same amount of time because the credits and all that shit was still
Yeah.
there. But I could easily see that back because I also had a change of heart.
Yeah.
What
What did you change from?
So like coming from our background, everyone just told to do just business, right? So it was just
Oh,
a general
yeah.
business shit.
Yeah.
Then I changed it to accounting, and I wish I would have stayed in accounting, but then I changed back to business.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, that's not too bad because
Yeah.
that's related.
Yeah,
so
it's
your
related.
credits
So
are.
that's what I was saying. I didn't lose any.
I did biology and pre-med the first year.
Jesus.
Then I had a
That's awesome.
complete change and then did
You went to
business and accounting.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
that was a lazy way out for
Yeah.
me. And at that point, I was just thinking about how can I just finish college? That's it.
yeah.
And I was like, business seems pretty easy.
Yeah. When I changed my major back, I wish I would have stayed accounting, but like, yeah, at that point in my junior year in college, I just realized how the system like the school was only preparing me for more school. That's all it was doing. It wasn't
Yeah.
preparing me for the actual workforce, and luckily everything kind of worked out the way it did. But
Mhm.
there's so many friends that still didn't get jobs that
Yeah.
they went to schools,
Right.
for, and they're still doing, they went to 4-year school and they're still not doing what they majored in. So
Yeah.
it's kind of it sucks, it doesn't work out for everyone.
Yeah.
And obviously with the jobs, shifting away from our country to other
Mhm.
countries, it's a lot more competitive. It's insanely hard. Like in downtown, in Chicago where I work, if you don't have like what are those top 10 universities name on your fucking resume,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not getting in, these top law firms or top accounting firms
Yeah.
like Deloitte and stuff, they look for what school are you coming from.
Yeah.
And if you don't, and in order to go to those schools are even more expensive. Like what, 100,000 a year, maybe?
Yeah.
80,000 a year.
Right.
Like, Jesus. Like
So
you
you're reaching
graduate,
for that, and if you
Yeah.
don't make it, you're just in debt.
Yeah,
If
you
you
come
watch
out with a
Suits, if you watch the TV series Suits, they don't take anyone unless
yeah
they're
from
at
Harvard.
Harvard.
Yeah. So all these
Yeah.
like yeah. So you come out with like a $500,000 in debt, and then you start making 50,000 a year, or
wreck.
.
I mean, do these people look at the numbers? Is it, I
I'm
don't want to
sure-
say what's worth it for people or what's not, but the people that go to these schools,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are happy with it, but I'm talking about the unhappy people that just work,
Yeah.
school, and then work, and then, all that debt and then 50,000 a year. You could have just not gone to school.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think I'm the only one that works in the corporate role.
yeah,
I don't think I know from us four. And there's so many people that you just
that's
meet.
crazy. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Umar.
Well, I'm talking about on our podcast.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Omar's
Yeah.
Corp.
I'm talking about us four.
Not the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
We run a corporation.
And like in like what you're saying is you see those people and like that's their life. The work is their life. They come to work to be the best they can be, which is and then it's great. But then also experiencing the things that we know and the things that we talk about. Then I just feel it's not a waste of life, but it's like there's so much other greater things that we could be doing. And
I mean, you can be honest.
Yeah.
You can say a waste of life.
yeah,
The reason why you can say it is
You get 'em,
because this is true. This is
Yeah.
true. There's so much data out there that shows that a majority of the people that are working,
yeah,
let's say the corporation life, are not happy.
yeah.
they went to school, they did what everyone said you should do,
Yeah.
and they get there, even if they're making a lot of money, they're not happy.
Right.
So what does that tell you? I mean,
Money isn't happiness.
So I work in a corporate world, and
I went so cheesy
much.
on that.
and,
Sorry.
and I am happy, but I'm really weird. Like,
Are you happy?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
because everything for me is a science experiment, right? Every interaction that I have with the individual is some sort of unique cosmic, scenario for me, where I'm just look at everything from a cosmic perspective. When I'm looking at numbers, when I'm sitting down,
yeah.
I'm like fucking weirdo, dude. I know I am.
I wouldn't say that's weird. I mean, that's
That's
how
reality.
everyone should
Yeah.
aim
Should
to
be.
be.
Yeah, and I agree.
You know?
Everyone should be. So like for me, like you can put me in any scenario, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
I'll be happy.
Just because you exist.
Yeah, just
You're
'cause
like
I
a
exist.
roach in a nuclear war, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
Hellfire, where he's still happy.
we've talked about this before, and I believe you were the one who brought it up. Is that if you can be happy with nothing,
Yeah,
then you can be happy
with everything.
with everything.
Yeah,
Then you can be
There's
happy
also
with
stoicism. That's a philosophy behind
I
that.
just call it Aliism.
Aliism, that's also a good one.
Yeah.
I guess we have new listeners, catching on or whatever. Just
Hi, guys.
what's up, guys?
Hello, guys. We're back.
But like talking about that nothingism, or if you want to call that.
Well, he just gave you a word.
Yeah.
We keep
Stoicism. I
changing
don't know
the
how you
name.
Stoicism.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was
Being stoic anyway.
I think that's easier to say. Let's just be stoic.
where was I? Yeah, I was in when I was on vacation in San Diego, and I was just laying down listening to music, and I had this weird thought where I pictured myself as a rocket. I opened the door and I went outside and I saw a rocket and I just stepped inside and I'm like, I'm just gonna take off and see where this takes me. And I had this cool like vision of me just flying out and like going into outer space, leaving our solar system, leaving our galaxy, then leaving our neighbor galaxy. And the further and further I kept getting away from everything, I realized I was getting towards nothing. And when I got to nothing, because once you've gone away from everything, it's just pure black, and so you get to a point where you have no idea which direction you're flying because there's nothing relative for you to tell where you are.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was a complete
Create
awe.
a new sense. Oh,
No, I was just a complete awe because I felt I came from this, There was one point where everything was nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm back to that moment right now, and this is what the universe was at one state of its, I was existing, and now I shoot back into my world where I live. And so I had, I just jumped into nothing. I came back, and appreciating nothing shows you that you can appreciate everything after it because of nothing, you have everything.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for this point of the universe and the state, I would not have everything that I have now.
Yeah, that's
So,
a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
So if you have nothing, just go back to nothing.
Or if you have nothing, you already have
Well,
everything.
I guess this will. I think another, I guess, easier way to understand that also is like when people say I'm bored,
Yeah.
and I think about that, and like 10 years ago, I would also say the same thing. Like, man, I'm just bored right now. I need this or that to, have a phone in my hand, or I need a computer or a book. I need to be doing something. But I think with all the shit that we've been doing,
Yeah.
all the trips we've had, all these conversations, now I can be sitting in a jail cell and I
Yeah.
would not be bored.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, being bored is that part of being self-aware part too.
Yeah.
That you get to appreciate that you're bored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like weird that you're bored. Like,
Wow,
oh,
I'm bored. Right?
Yeah.
This is a pretty strange feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're a kid and you're bored, you don't get that same feeling. But now I would say the same thing. I'm like, okay, I'm bored. Now where are we going with this?
Yeah.
Start snapping fingers. Start bobbing your head.
And then you realize, and I guess it comes from all these conversations, all the books you read, all the experiences you have. You have so much in your mind now. You can just explore that
Yeah.
without anything in your hand. You can close your eyes and just go on a journey.
My sisters, like, every time they do listen to this podcast, it's always fun to see, I always ask them, like, how do you feel when you listen to it? And just trying to get some feedback. It's always fun to hear, what people like. So like a lot of my sisters will say, like, a lot of shit that we talk about will never they would have heard of these ideas or way of thinking ever. So it's just cool to see that, we used to be like that once, right? And once we start being interested in these topics and ideas and so forth, we progress towards that. And, and we're planting those seeds in other people's head. And then I guess it's like what's that engine? Like a coal engine. Once you start feeding that information, and the train just takes off, and you want to keep feeding it. You don't want this train to ever stop.
Yeah.
So like I feel like, we're doing some sort of like that to our base that were, that do follow us and listen to us.
I mean, that's actually very refreshing to hear, because we talk to each other so much. I think my thoughts go really myopic sometimes, and I don't see the big picture, that actually we are introducing new thoughts and we're building on them, making them better. And these are not average thoughts.
These are not average thoughts at all.
Yeah, I don't think everybody thinks
they're average to us.
Not to brag to us, but they've gotten, not to brag about us, but they've gotten so average to us that I'm like, oh man, everybody's heard this before.
Yeah,
actually, that's not that true.
Yeah, it's like the first thought is always sort of average, but then we build and build and build, and that's when it gets extraordinary, and then you have new breakthroughs.
It's crazy though if you think about it, and I think this has also been like an exercise in building, because if you go to like 2 years back to what we were talking about, and also the world is also moving at a really accelerating rate. But we've built on our thoughts, and we're talking about even more advanced topics. So we've covered the basics, and we debated the basics. Now we can go to like higher level stuff.
Yeah. I was going on with that. I was reading about gravity, and this just kind of blew my mind. Going along with when you hear a new idea, I think there's a word for that. It's like new idea orgasm. I don't know what it is. I just blew that idea. I
Probably
just blew
an
that
orgasm
word.
in there. Yeah, sure.
Something like that, mind orgasm or something maybe.
Mindgasm?
When is a new idea, you're saying?
It's first. I'm gonna get to that, but
okay, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you,
but
I want to find out the answer.
I was just saying that personally, for me, there's no greater feeling. Of course, there's all these other physical feelings, but there's no greater feeling than when you hear like a new idea that you've never heard before, and it blows your mind.
I love those.
When you have that, and when it expands your mind, it's unlike anything else.
Well, it's something clicks. It's a new idea, and also you connect it with other things that you learn. It's the best feeling in the world.
So I was reading something recently about gravity. So this idea is that what if gravity is intrinsic to the universe? And what that means is, so we have the sun, and the sun has a lot of mass. It has a lot of gravity, or so we think it does. But what if gravity was in pockets in the early universe, in different parts of the universe, and all these big objects just went towards it, rather than the sun and all that actually having gravity itself?
Damn, that's interesting.
I can actually prove that false.
I just want to say, okay, then I'll go ahead.
So, okay, going with pockets. Okay, but why is it consistent that the more massive an object is, it directly has more gravity as well? It's always equal.
No, because the idea is that, okay, so let's say where the sun is right now, right? We're all orbiting around the sun.
So you say,
let's say there was a pocket of gravity where the sun is right now, and the sun actually went towards it and formed.
Right. So the fabric of the universe, what you're saying, it's infinite, right?
Yeah.
Anywhere the pockets of gravity resides is where everything is.
Everything goes there.
In the other fabrics areas of the universe where there is no pockets of gravity, there is nothing.
Exactly.
Why isn't there a spot then that has like a smaller star but has an insanely strong gravitational pull?
What does?
Look, I'm just saying.
Okay, so here's another idea. So we think there's a large black hole in the middle of our galaxy.
Yeah.
What if it's just a pocket of gravity and there is no, there's nothing there, right? It's just a pocket of gravity, and we're all going around it.
And everything just collapsing in it.
I mean, when I started thinking of that, so many things started clicking. I'm like, man, that explains a lot of things.
Yeah.
That explains sort of why dark matter, we don't see it, but it's kind of there. What if there's pockets of gravity? What if the sun has no gravity and all these large?
Is there math to back this stuff, or like is this a
there
new
isn't?
Theory,
It's just a fringe theory because they say the only way that you could test it was that if you can go back to the universe before it began and be like, oh, there's gravity there,
yeah,
and that's where everything goes towards and clumps.
Well, you would also be able to, because there's still new solar systems being formed right now. So wouldn't you be able to find spots where those pockets exist right now, where those upcoming
guess.
Planets and
I guess
and
so.
suns
are there like where is that happening right now? Like currently right now, you're saying galaxies are forming.
Yeah, I feel like they
in the observable universe. In the observable,
I think they're always forming.
Anywhere there's gas,
because if they weren't, then we'd be the youngest, right?
Yeah. So I wonder how that would work. So why couldn't you test that?
Yeah, you could probably.
You're asking Hasban.
No, I mean you could. I mean, why couldn't you test it? If you're talking about the real answer right now, is because we don't have the technology.
It's really far.
In the future, we can.
Yeah, that would be very interesting if we can. What if we learn one day that nothing has
it's
gravity?
Possible. Yeah, it's possible.
Or maybe that pocket is our universe.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. Let's get really wacky.
Let's just keep going.
My mind.
let's just
had a
say
mindgasm.
let's just I mean, because right now we're seeing an uptick in articles and research that says that dark matter doesn't exist, right? Because I mean, it never really
I
existed.
still haven't come across one, but I'm gonna have to take your word for it.
No, yeah,
There's-
I shared one like I think a few weeks back where they were
Yeah,
saying
okay,
that.
except that one.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't like gone. I mean,
This,
Yeah.
I try to read as much science.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they were saying was you can, because it's just you have to add more math into the equation in order to make sense of how the galaxies and all that stuff is behaving. So
Like
you say
95%.
They
more.
think-
so you have to say that there is this mass or energy there has to be there, but this new, I don't know if it was a university or whatnot, saying you can fix the equation. I forgot what their solution was, but instead of adding, creating new stuff, you can just tweak the equation by adding this formula just to explain what's happening. So you can take away that concept away.
Well, dark matter is an equation. That's the only proof we have of it, because it just makes sense. It makes our physics work.
yeah,
But our physics could just be wrong as easily. I mean, we've been wrong about so many things. Why is it that we can't be wrong about this?
Don't they say that dark matter is actually just a misunderstanding of gravity, and that we just don't have the full picture on how gravity works yet either?
A lot of people say that, yeah.
yeah, but with the gravitational
angles.
waves, something might come.
Yeah, so
In
gravitational waves. Okay, so the article I'm talking about,
Yeah,
I actually brought it up right now, but I read it before. It's been a
Oh,
while.
okay.
This was before gravitational waves, actually, so I should make that clear. So I wonder how that changes the picture of it.
yeah.
Gravitational waves.
It probably collapse that theory.
It sounds like it would, right? Because if something is colliding and sending gravitational waves, that means those objects. But then
Everything
those-
sends gravitational waves, by the way.
yeah, but then those objects could have already that where they were could have already had gravity. That universe pocket could have had gravity already, and maybe it collided. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm just
Sort
looking
of.
at perhaps it's possible.
Yeah, I got to read more
Both
on this
work.
theory.
Yeah, it's called fringe theory.
Fringe theory.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's a fringe theory, right? Because it's like not. It's not. There's no experiment you can do
Gravity
except that one thing
fringe.
you were saying.
So the other day, like any theory that you talk about or any idea or even this moment right now, I had this cool feeling that everything is in my head. So on my train ride to work
It's
one
not
day.
a feeling. It is, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it is all in my head. So when I was on the train ride one day, I was trying to I'm trying this new thing where I listen to music and I try to create whatever I can in my brain. If I'm thinking of something, I want to create that world and then just go live a life there if I can. So it's obviously hard, but like the idea is that the whole universe resides in my head. It's infinite, but the infinity resides in my head because the only way to perceive it is through your head.
Sound like an artist.
Yeah. So it's just everyone should try it. I think just put on some headphones and close your. When I first close my eyes, I picture a really dark dome, and this is, and then I talk to myself kind of weird, this is who I am. I'm this black empty dome, and now I throw some color in it. I try to do like some things. Sometime it wanders off to whatever your brain takes you to, right? But it's trying to build that black dome and then trying to create something that I want to create. Because at the end of the day, I am the universe, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to see how far I can take that.
That's interesting. That black dome could be your canvas.
Yeah.
As a painter, it could be a video game. It could be a movie.
Yeah,
It could be anything.
It's
and you
anything I
build it.
want, anything that I'm feeling at that moment. I try to create it. It's really hard to create something, but then I'll picture a city. I'll picture that I'm walking in it and I'm seeing people. So I reside. So I'm in a universe within a universe.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to escape this one and go to mines and see, because you are a god in your brain, right?
Yeah.
You can create people in your brain and give them names and feelings in a story.
Yeah.
And you can close your eyes and just talk to them. You'll be talking to yourself, but you can, in a sense, talk to them. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Yeah, you can be crazy as fuck if you want.
Yeah. So then I was thinking dude, I am a god. Going back to, you talked about it before, we all are gods going for moving on up. But when you close your eyes and you're in that dome that I vision, you are the god of that world, and you can create anything. You can feel anything. I thought it was just beautiful.
Yeah, and
I felt in a moment of awe at that time.
Yeah. And now, do you think you can put that? And then if you want to take a step further, if you became an artist, you would try to communicate that to other people and share it with them as
Shit,
a
yeah.
story, a book, whatever,
A poem,
movie.
right? Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. So, like Neil deGrasse says, that when he goes to watch a movie, he doesn't want to see what the world is like, but what the world is like in that artist's mind, like how they see the world.
So when this is Breath of the Wild is a perfect example of that, because it's a new Zelda game on Nintendo Switch, and every time I'm playing it, it's such a massive game that there's not a moment you can pass by and look at something and be like, what was the attention that the artist created?
Yeah,
I have to go explore it,
Right.
So like I was telling you just before we started the podcast, I just spent 10 hours yesterday going to certain sections of the map and walking everywhere, just trying to see if there's a bunch of trees on this side. Okay, why are there trees there but not there? What was the intention of doing this? And going there and trying to understand it from like an artist perspective. What are they trying to show me?
Yeah.
And every time you do that, you get rewarded with something that's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that feeling is just so rewarding on its own. That and it's like a mutual feeling between the artist and the player, I guess.
Yeah.
They create these little hidden treasures. They're not in your face, but if you're curious enough and you go there, you get rewarded.
Yeah.
So it works from an artist perspective because they're accomplishing what they it's something so subtle but so rewarding at the same time. And then there's a curiosity of the player willing to just to go out of the way and see what's there.
Yeah.
And it's just and Nintendo does it in Nintendo ways. Like there's so many beautiful moments where you don't expect something to be there, and you go over that mountain and you just see a different village or different like something weird, like, whoa, that's cool, I gotta go there.
Right.
And you can just be lost in that game forever.
Yeah, that's why Breath of the Wild is a great game, whereas No Man's Sky fell off because it wasn't handcrafted. It felt like, okay, a computer just made it. So nobody put thought into this. It was just an algorithm that just created this, and every time you explore it, some people just like exploring just for exploration, but some people want a reward. If they don't get a reward, it's, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like maybe you would be okay with just exploring and being like, man, this journey is amazing.
Yeah.
But another person would be like, why am I even on this journey if I don't get 100 points at the end or like some kind of reward at the end?
Yeah. But no, I agree. There's definitely a lot of different play styles, but for me, just trying to, I guess it is the reward system, and also there's a curiosity of what everything. Almost everything in that game has a purpose. Yeah, you go to it; it has a purpose. Is there, and it's just up to you to figure out what that purpose is.
But what if there was no purpose to it? Would you still enjoy the game? What if you didn't get rewarded? What if there was no purpose? It was just beautiful, and you just saw things and they just happened.
Right. I mean,
I think you would like it because you like No Man's Sky too. Still.
Yeah, I mean, I did like No Man's Sky because, again, from a cosmic perspective, we created a game that can allow you to do that. It wasn't perfect, but it was beautiful for what it was trying to do.
Right.
Obviously, in the future, like if they can correct the algorithms to be a lot better and put more money,
Yeah, but what Zelda did was they made sure that it hit mainstream. They did both sides. Yeah. They rewarded people that wanted reward. Yeah. They also gave you the journey, so that's why everyone loves it, because it's mainstream in a way, even though it's not. But it is in a way because everyone can enjoy the game.
Yeah, I'm not even playing like the main story of the game. I'm just exploring the hell out of it, and I don't know. I feel like it kind of ties into life, like you can go out of this door right now and there's so many things that are distracting you there. And then, since we have so much limited amount of time, we don't explore that world. We don't explore our own world that's full with hidden treasure and gems, and things that have purpose that we, so it kind of just complements that, there's a lot that we can be doing out in our actual world, exploring it.
So you know what you were talking about like earlier about how a new idea clicks and you just feel good inside? I feel like that idea that you're talking about exploring, it also has the same result. You go out into the world, and for me, I like camping, for example, and it puts me out of my comfort zone. But I always find something that clicks when I'm there, Yeah. And I feel like people need to find those moments more.
Yeah, finding.
But I guess they can just find it in video games too, and just stay at home.
Virtual reality, bro.
It's not. Well, I guess I was
thinking, do you have to go out to do it, or you should just do it at home?
Well, I was telling Shaz the other time when I first played Breath of the Wild, I was like, man, this is the closest thing I felt to like going to Yosemite Valley. However, you don't have that sense of, whoa, I'm so high up. you don't have that sense of
Smell.
breathing that
Oh, that
beautiful
air,
air.
yeah.
So it's not the same experience, but it's not close, is it?
actually, if you just talk about it, I guess, yeah, it's
not
good
close
enough.
at all.
But it is experience, right?
It is.
Well,
Like-
one, you only use 1 or 2 senses, I guess. You're not getting the smell. You're not getting that feeling. 'Cause
Yeah.
even when you're on a mountain in Zelda, it's not like you feel like you're on a mountain. But if you could get those same kinds of things, like let's say if you were playing Zelda in virtual reality, maybe except the air, and even you could get fake air somehow. And
So-
really have all your senses stimulated
yeah.
to the same way that you get those feelings at Yosemite,
Yeah.
but you're playing a video game as well, so you got that next level stuff happening.
Yeah, that that whole thing like people do with extreme sports, right? It's kind of it's not similar, but if you're on a really high plane and you're looking down, you're like, if I fall over, I can actually die.
Yeah.
There's
Someone-
something about that experience.
And
that-
there's people that are like, okay, I want to feel that feeling of dying, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
come like
I want to come really close to it.
what's that?
Yeah.
A wingsuit?
The wingsuit where they fly so low to the ground.
It's terrifying.
That is the
Yeah.
craziest thing that
ever.
I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Every time I look at it, I'm like, I can't believe there are humans
They're
who do this.
flying.
And do you know who was telling me that he wants to do it? Tim. He's like, I think if I do 100 jumps out of an airplane, I can get my life. I'm like, why the fuck would you even go down that road?
I mean, who wouldn't
Because-
like to fly like that?
because
dude?
it's like
Yeah, at
wait,
the same time, yes. Who wouldn't want to?
I want to do
I
it.
want to, but the
Don't have the
risk.
guts to do
Oh
it.
yeah,
the risk, but your risks get more and more. Like you said, he said he's going to do 100 jumps and then get to that.
yeah.
You know, it's like scuba diving. You go down 40 feet. Now you want to go 60. Now you want to go 80. You always want to go further.
Yeah.
That's what makes us great, actually.
Until you get hurt.
My
you
yeah,
go back to
exactly.
zero.
So my
Well, you
friend-
die.
It happened to me where I stopped skating because I thought I almost died.
Yeah, you used to be
Yeah.
you used to be big on skate. I remember you were like really good and shit with all
aggressive inline. So yeah, I used to go to the skate park and I had this. It's weird. Like the reason I brought it up now is the other day I was thinking about it. Dude, I could have been dead.
that. Yeah.
Busted my head. Woke up in the hospital. I had no idea what happened.
Oh, yeah, you
Yeah.
went to extreme sports.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Yeah, I just remember
Yeah.
that about you. I
Tony
totally
Hawk,
forgot.
the roller skater.
So I still remember what he did once when we were kids. We're all riding a bike, right?
Yeah.
Oh, shit,
There's
that's
a-
hilarious.
Yeah, and there's a speed bump about to come up, and he was a little more on the extreme end. I forgot this
Yeah.
about your personality, actually.
Yeah, I used
Wait,
to.
so you fell
So-
on your brain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what he did is he was trying to go at it with no hands. He was gonna go up the bump with no hands.
Speed bump.
Yeah. The speed bump, and it wasn't crazy, but if you did it with no hands, it was crazy. And I just remember him falling back right on his head.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And
So you were there at that time.
yeah, I think
No,
we were
no,
right.
no, this-
or maybe I'm
No,
gonna have a false memory.
You
so
were
go
there,
ahead.
but I'm talking about when I had the injury when I was skating.
Yeah,
You
and then-
weren't there.
okay,
that was
so you
those
had
are
that
different
after,
moments.
right?
Yeah,
How'd
yeah,
that
bro-
happen?
The skating moment. Yeah, so like in the skate park, so it was all a concrete skate park. So you know how they have like the bowl where you go in and you
The ramp.
Yeah, the ramps. So it was all concrete, and this is the day that I took my little brothers, and I was trying to get them into it. So my younger brother Baz, who went, I helped him get down the bowl by holding. It is like a steep like thing. I was just trying to get him in the bowl so he can just practice, going up and down, not coming all the way up. But to get out of it, it's really hard. Like he couldn't do it because he was, I think at that time he was probably 10 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to go down to get him, and I was just being so like cocky that like oh look how cool I am and all that shit. So when I was going down the bowl, I didn't lean forward, so I went my skates clipped at the edge and I just went down, and I didn't put right amount of pressure like leaning forward. And as soon as I came in that U shape where it curves in the ramp, since I had not enough weight pushing forward. The curvature just shot my legs up and my head went back right to the concrete.
Didn't you faint or pass out?
I woke up in the hospital. That's all I remember.
Really?
I remember standing on top and telling Rabaz I'm coming down to get him, and then the next thing I know, like this guy asking me who's the president of the United States.
Oh shit! I didn't know you went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I could have just died and never known.
Yeah.
I don't remember the pain. I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
It's just-
Because your brain just shut
off.
down.
The
Yeah,
pain,
right there.
but my brother was telling me I was at the floor just rolling over
Yeah.
in so much pain and shit, and
Yeah.
everyone came over there looking at me, and they called the ambulance. They carried me out on a
Jesus.
stretcher.
Yeah.
No memory.
Wow.
Like I could have been dead, dude. No memory.
You
Could
would
have been
have never
paralyzed.
known.
Could've,
I had a funny experience,
But-
not an extreme one where I got knocked out, but I remember when I first came back from Pakistan and started playing cricket.
Yeah.
So I used to think I was badass and all that. I wouldn't wear a helmet.
Yeah.
And there was a bowler who was bowling, and so when the ball bounced, I edged it off my bat, and luckily it just kind of went like above my cheekbone under my eye.
Yeah.
Maybe another inch, I would have lost my eye. But getting hit there, I remember just turning around it swelled up so big, like a little tennis ball.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
Because those balls are so hard.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then I turn around and everyone's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm in shock, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then everyone's like, "Dude, you're hurt." I'm like, "No, I'm all right. Like, I'm ready to keep playing."
Yeah.
So crazy. Like, and the worst part was I remember getting to the hospital and I had contacts on.
Damn.
The most painful thing ever, just to get it out because my eyes wouldn't open.
Shit.
Horrible. I always wore a helmet after that.
So after my injury, I took like a month off. Then I went back to skating. I'm like, it says one of those one-offs.
Yeah.
As soon as I get back there, obviously the confidence was not there. So I jumped onto this concrete table. I did like a 180. Then I was doing a 180. So usually I would jump on this like this ramp that you'll jump on a concrete table. I would do a 180 then 180 off it. And usually I would do that in a breeze all the time. But since the confidence wasn't there, I didn't jump high enough. And my legs hit the table. And I went sliding backwards on the table on my back. Then I obviously, because I saw like they put candle wax on it so you can grind on the edges and whatnot and the table. So it was slippery as shit. I went sliding off the table, landed backwards on my head and neck on the floor, and then I rolled backwards. And everyone in the park was like, "Oh shit!" They're like, "Dude, bro, are you okay?" And I woke up and I was like, "Holy shit, man! I could have killed myself again." Like the way I landed was on my head and my back and legs just folded on a weird way.
So did you not wear a helmet?
No, I didn't. I was an idiot.
Both times?
Even after that?
No helmet. I was young and
Damn,
stupid. I was like
dude.
16, 17.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's
You're
what I
really
kept thinking. I'm
stupid.
like, damn.
Yeah.
So as soon as I did that, I got up, took out my skates. Hung
You're
them
done.
Up. Yeah.
Damn.
Haven't
Or
done
Boz
this
probably
since.
saw that. He's like, "Screw this. I'm playing basketball." That's a
So
lot
much,
easier.
yeah, safer.
Yeah.
Man, can you see Ali running around skating?
I remember he was like pretty fast and really good.
Yeah.
I remember him doing
I
all
remember
sorts of
he had, like,
shenanigans.
this picture of him, like he's wearing like short shorts and he's like sprawled out like this and he has skates on.
Yeah.
He has a goofy sweater.
Don't make fun of my goofy sweater, bro.
Z had one too. It had,
Some
like,
people
hearts on
also
it.
some people also excel on
Still
those
have one.
edges. I feel like I'm a deep thinker, but I might not be as good of a critical thinker as a particular friend of mine, and he's always just good at really on the spot pressure situations, and he's also a crazy motherfucker too. So he just got that personality type. But I feel like the reason he goes towards those things is because he was telling me one time, I think he was drunk. He was just saying that he likes the challenge of being able to get yourself out of the craziest situation.
Yeah.
Like the more extreme stuff you do, you have to bail yourself out, for example,
Yeah.
when you're about to fall. And he feels like those kinds of situations bring out the best in him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's why people surf, they say,
Yeah.
or that
Yeah.
puts you in a flow state.
Yeah.
And just other action sports, if you think about it, it's critical thinking. It's literally as in the moment as you can be.
Yeah.
When you're in that wingsuit,
yeah.
you can't be thinking about your phone.
No.
Oh shit! It's like the Deadpool, that scene where the car's slipping. He's like, "Oh shit! Did I turn the stove off?"
Yeah, wait, they leave the stove on.
Yeah. It's funny.
That's a great line.
I like that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot about like living on the edge. For example, I think that when we were camping, the same friend of mine, it was nighttime, and literally we're in the middle of the desert. I think there's rattlesnakes in there, so I just didn't want to move too far away from the campsite. I'm like, I felt like I was out of my comfort zone. But this guy's even crazier. He's like, let's go to the mountains. I mean, in the pitch dark, where I was like, no, man, I just want to stay by the campfire. But there's just that thing in him,
Yeah.
I felt like I was really out of my. He's like, dude, you got to get out of your comfort zone. I'm like, dude, I just
Bro.
flew 2,000 miles just
Yeah.
to do this thing, and we're just laughing about it later too. That he's just so extreme.
Yeah.
And that's actually that's the best thing about him. But it's just funny how people have different. I
That's
I
funny.
just want to stay by the campfire. I'm good
Yeah.
here. He's like, let's go explore, man.
I
Yeah.
feel safe, bro.
It's so funny, like that whole relativity thing that we always talk
Yeah.
about. His being extreme to you is probably his comfort zone.
Yeah,
He's like, man, I'm getting uncomfortable just being comfortable here.
Exactly.
Let's go up on the mountain.
I really thought about it, and we were just joking about it the next day too, because I'm like, because I told him, I'm like, dude, I really thought I was out of my comfort zone. I came all the way out there with you. I really thought that he just wants to do it that next step.
Yeah. Keep going. Yeah, I guess. I was gonna say, what's the worst that could happen? You can get knocked down and never even knowing you're dead. But
Hopefully,
actually,
yeah.
there's a lot worse here.
Yeah, but
The
now-
thing I think about is losing your brain and then still living with it.
Yeah. Well, having a child now,
Yeah.
there's always bigger consequences.
Completely.
Yeah, yeah, you have that one extra level of consequences.
Yeah.
Like shit. I want to be in her life. Can't fuck things
Yeah,
up.
you
But I mean, do you know what? The death doesn't really scare me. It's always just
Missing
suffering
out.
that scared me, or a slow death, I guess.
I guess for me, it's like missing out on life, like missing on opportunities to do things.
But the funny thing is that if you're dead, you wouldn't realize
Yeah,
you missed
you
out on
wouldn't.
anything.
But just even
Exactly.
right now,
That's the way I see it about that next question. Though I do think about that too, especially because we're in this weird age where people are telling us in the media that you could live over 100 years. You could, you know, that article about Neuralink, dude. We live in 2017 where there's some guy out there who's trying to basically merge us with computers. I was reading this. You know, I'm talking about a Neuralink, that new company that like Elon Musk wants to build, so we can merge with computers.
Yeah.
And that would also solve the problem of artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, what a wacky world we live in, that we're told that you can live forever. Maybe not forever, but to a crazy, like instead of 100 years, it could be 200 years or 300 years. It seems like life is more valuable now in some ways.
I mean,
You're right.
Hasn't
Yeah.
it been always valuable?
No, I'm saying it's even more valuable.
Yeah.
Maybe you could even say less valuable, actually.
I would say more.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Depending on your perspective, just because you can live, staying alive before didn't matter as much, because like let's say the highest you would get to is like 70, 80, right? But now staying alive, especially for these next 20 years or 40 years or 50 years, you know, as the technology develops and we try to cure aging, that's even a disease, is that now you can live forever if you can stay alive for 40, 50 years. Before, if you could stay alive for 40, 50 years, you just had 20 more years maybe.
Yeah.
But now the consequences of dying at this age are just higher.
Right. And I just want to go back to that thing you were saying, how death doesn't really scare you, but suffering does.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about one of the reasons why that doesn't scare me is because I can't even imagine it. Like,
sure.
what would I imagine if I was to imagine? Because I have to imagine something to be afraid of it, I feel, sometimes.
Yeah, I can be scared of pain, but I can't be scared of not being here. Because even when I go to sleep, I don't feel like I feel good, actually, in a weird way.
Yeah. Dude, everyone feels
That's
great.
so weird, man.
Death?
Yeah.
Life and death.
It's just this crazy balance, if you
I feel
will.
like the song you have in the background is the perfect for this.
Yeah.
Death, yo.
Feels like something's dying and then coming back to life over and over.
Yeah. I mean, just when you talk about death, the first thing that hits your mind, or at least my mind, is Samsara. You know, the circle of life.
It just keeps going.
There's ups and downs. There's always, birth, death, and then rebirth. It just goes on forever.
Yeah.
And we're just all in this cosmic roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea where we're headed. Yeah. And we're just going up. We all have our ups and downs, and then we also got to go.
Yeah.
And let the
we've always got to go, but for me it's hard to imagine going because I can't experience it and come back, or I've never experienced it and come back. So I always imagine, ever since I've been little, that I'm gonna live forever. I'm never gonna die.
That's the ego in us, because I feel the same way. Like,
I feel like I'm the only one. Like, maybe this is all a virtual reality, and like, how could it be that I can go away? Ego. How can I become unconscious forever?
Yeah, that's
for me it's hard to imagine, and the fact that he said that we're living in a time we might live forever. Yeah, it's bizarre to me.
It caters to
I've been thinking about
narrative.
that. I'm sure everyone does, but
everyone throughout history has thought about that.
Yeah,
but it's not like the media in the let's say the 1890s was saying, or you read the newspaper, we might be able to live forever next year, or in 30 years or 100 years. They didn't even have cars back then.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what are the chances that you're living in that period of time out of all these billions of years?
What are the chances? It must be like
you're
1 to
in
a
that
trillion.
Period. Yeah.
But we're here in this period. Not just we're here, that we're safe and comfortable in this period, knock on wood for now.
Yeah. But then I was thinking of, like, we're Neanderthals, thinking, like, man, what are the chances?
Exactly.
Like, man, we are here right now. And, let's say the Neanderthals somehow figured out that dinosaurs left. Like, how is it possible that out of all the billions of years, we're here when the dinosaurs are gone? What were the chances?
But there's the other thought of what we're going to miss out when we're not here, of the technology, right?
Yeah, that's what saddens me, I think.
And then we're so obsessed with, like, missing out. What are we going to miss out on if we don't even feel like we're missing out on? It's such a weird
So what I used to get really, like, sad and depressed about was the shit of innovation and the discoveries of science and innovation that I'm going to miss out. Some of the answers of how the universe behaves, I'm going to miss out on those things. But as you get older, I guess as we've all grown up together or growing up together as this group, you know, if I'm gonna be depressed about a thing that, you know, about the future, then that means I don't value what I have now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Exactly. You might not. Yeah.
I'm so worried about missing out on the future. Right now, I'm just missing out on the now,
Absolutely.
thinking about something that doesn't
Yeah,
even matter. You know
because no matter what they get in the future,
Yeah.
they're gonna lose things that we have right now to
Yeah.
get in order to get what they get.
what I mean? Yeah. So then
Yeah.
it's like,
That's a really good point, man. I actually really like agree with that, and I think about it sometimes too.
because because what I was thinking, my thought process was, you know, if this thing is gonna leave me to be sad or depressed about that,
Yeah.
then I don't value now. And then even if when I get that future or whatever information that I'm seeking, then once I get there, what am I gonna get?
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna now seek the other
Well,
future.
I think Tim Ferriss said this, or he was quoting somebody, and he was just saying you can't really be happy you'll never be happy in the future if you're not happy with now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you'll come to this destination when you're happy. If you're not happy today, there's not a good chance.
Yeah.
And but I think people need stuff to look forward to. It keeps us going forward. And
Yeah, I mean, the people that don't have something to look forward to commit suicide.
they kill themselves. Yeah.
I think there's two different ways to look at it. When you look at people that commit suicide, and I think the suicide rates have just gone up and up, according to all the research. And the thing is, there's people that lose hope
Mm-hmm.
and they have nothing to look forward to. That's one group. And then the other group is where they just have a mental problem, disorder,
can't,
where
yeah.
they just suffer from depression. No matter what they do, they have depression.
Yeah,
You know, clinical depression is a thing that you just have.
yeah.
You
It
know,
sounds like
Yeah.
You can't even, like,
your
there's
brain is
some...
structured to be depressed.
Yeah, you know how hard it would be to meditate? Like right now, like for us, you know, if none of us have depression, we can
Yeah.
go meditate and relax and we can get to a good state.
Right.
For them, it's infinitely harder.
Harder, right?
Yeah. I
And
mean, they can do it, but it's like just so hard to
and it's
wire
hard
the
to
brain.
it's hard to imagine that, because like for me, it's like, just do it, bro. Like just do it. Like, you know, like if
Yeah, it
you
is
can
hard
just
to
think about
imagine sometimes.
this, like, or sometimes I feel like, well, it is the way your brain is structured, but like my brain. Or
Are
at
you
least
sure you can't imagine it, by the way? Because when you say that, I go back to a trip that we had and I think about when I was in that one loop.
Right.
And if I'm stuck in that loop, that's how I imagine depression would be. You're just
Right.
stuck in that
No.
infinite loop.
Right. So like, what I was trying to say is like, for me, like I'm a pretty like calm and patient person. So
Mhm.
like sometimes it's hard to like. Sometimes it just, you know, I feel like it should be easier for other people too, and that's me being wrong, right? Because my brain is this way doesn't mean everyone else's brain is the
Well,
same way.
So, sorry. I
ahead.
guess I'll just talk about our conversation we had this week at your house.
Okay.
But see, that might be the condition that you've kind of grown up under, and that
Mhm.
it's made you like that.
Right.
But remember, we were talking about how Bosnian people,
Right.
they're just conditioned to think something's always going to go wrong
Right.
because it makes sense because of what they've grown up against, you know, or what they've gone up against, and the troubles they've lived through. So if you grew up in their situation, you always have this like weird feeling. I'm assuming, and Bosnian people also say this, that something might go wrong.
And for those who don't know, you're referring to the war that in the 90s.
yeah.
Yeah, and I actually, Shaz was telling me an interesting story. Weren't you telling me about your friend and how he was acting on that whole thing? What were you telling me? Remember a few days ago? I think he's Bosnian.
Yeah, so one of my best friends is Bosnian, and he was basically just telling me how when he lived in Bosnia, and I think he was like 4 or 5 years old, and there's the war going on in the 90s, and he was going from like camp to camp because Bosnia got invaded. I think it was the Serbians.
Serbs, yeah.
Yeah, and they came in. He called it a concentration camp.
Yeah, they had them.
Yeah, so concentration camp, and how his uncle was beat. Like he was like, his whole like family was military.
Yeah.
So his older brother's been shot.
Yeah, so my wife's Bosnian, and I've heard those stories. They're just sad and depressing, and like, you know, that mankind can do, you know, these things to one another. It's just depressing as hell.
The other thing is, sorry,
No, go ahead.
but they went. What's the country by Bosnia where they set up?
Yugoslavia?
I forget.
That's the former.
Okay.
Before it used to be
Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia.
Croatia.
Okay.
So Croatia had like the Bosnians had run there, and they had like a little camp, you know, where they were there, and they brought in a tank creation, the government, whatever, the army, they brought in their tank to start pushing people back into Bosnia, and people were like, "I'd rather die than go back." You know, they're like laying down and protesting and all that.
Okay, so people were going to Croatia to run away,
Yeah,
and they had to push them back.
They would have.
They probably brought the tanks up forward to say,
Exactly.
"Turn around, we're not taking you in."
Exactly.
And they're like, "Just run us over. Us, you know, we don't want to go back."
Crazy human nature, man. And
Yeah,
for what? You know, like what? Something we'd be more familiar with, Pakistan and India, and then they have the mapping error. Why didn't they, when they were cutting India and Pakistan? How did Kashmir get left out?
I have no idea. I'm not.
I don't get how.
Well,
I
the
do find
British,
the
the British drew the border, so a lot of people say, you could say that this is just what do you call that? Like just a controversial theory. It's not true, but they did it so India, Pakistan would continue fighting over something and not be united in any
I
way.
mean, for those who are listening that don't know, you know, before Pakistan was there, it was all under India, where Muslims and Indians used to live together, and then obviously there was cultural and religious difference that led to a war. Then then out came Pakistan, where the Muslims got their independence from India, and there's a small city or town called Kashmir,
Yeah, and I think it controls all the water in that area, so it's pretty important.
something like that. Yeah, and
Kashmir,
also
yeah.
it's really goddamn beautiful. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's a very scenic, beautiful place. And then ever since Pakistan has got its own independence, they've been politically fighting for that territory.
Yeah,
No one has a claim. Both sides claim that they have a claim on it.
yeah.
But it's ongoing shit.
And there's conflicts like that all around the world, but it seems to be all Muslim land for some reason. There's a lot of Muslim countries that have that same issue, like claims to land which seems to have been taken away, or obviously we've got Palestine and Israel.
Situation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think after World War II, there's not that many countries, or it's all proxy wars now. It's not gonna be. Hopefully, it's not. Wars are not gonna be what the. Hopefully World War
Yeah.
II was the last war of its scale.
Yeah,
Now it's just a bunch of proxy,
Yeah.
proxy wars there. Where
right. And I think just thinking about it, just right now, sprung into my mind that the Muslims, the Ottoman Empire, were on the wrong side of history when they lost, right? So, was it World War I or which war was it? Was Ottoman Empire still there?
when
in
it
war-
collapsed, yeah, I think
It
it was
was in
in
World War I.
19.
Yeah. So when they lost, I feel like the countries that won decided. The Western powers decided all
what
the
it should be.
borders. So
Yeah.
that's why you have so many issues nowadays, because you have these places which should be their own countries are under one country, like Iraq,
Yeah,
Iran.
Syria.
They should be like 4 different countries.
Right.
Because they're all super religious and they all have different ideas about what the religion is.
Right.
And they were just drawn on a piece of paper by the Western powers. So that's
Right.
a big reason why we have so many conflicts there. Of
Right.
course, you could also say that why are they so extreme? Why they're just people after all. But if you go back to even Christianity and you go back a few hundred years, Islam is still kind of young.
Yeah.
So if you go back a few hundred years, I think Christianity had the same issues.
Yeah, like
So-
every young religion does,
Yeah.
right? Because they're, especially if you have
That
the
doesn't
most-
mean it's right. I don't want to
Yeah.
say it's right. All the crazy stuff that's going on in that region, it's
Yeah,
not right.
They all need science,
But there is a reason why it's happening.
right? They are
You know?
they are a byproduct of the environment.
Yeah. It's not as simple as everyone says it is, right? There's always so many variables.
Yeah,
Nothing is
absolutely.
simple.
Absolutely. It's just, yeah. I don't know. I just hope, there's that utopia feeling that one day or someday,
Yeah, you got to reach for it.
yeah.
Probably not a utopia there, but you
Yeah,
still
you
got to
gotta-
strive for it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, as Sansara says, you need parts of, like, Syria and Iraq to show, to show and appreciate, the systems that do work.
Yeah.
And just hopefully one day that, that they can find the same.
Yeah, and this is a controversial topic right now, but the whole idea of so now that natural selection is no longer what controls ideologies, and I shouldn't say ideologies, but people, right? Because back in the animal kingdom, if you don't have the traits to survive, you just die.
Right.
So
but not-
the human trait that allows us to survive used to be intelligence.
Right.
But now, I mean, you can make a point that even though a few human beings have pushed humanity far forward, the majority of humanity has gotten stupider.
Yeah.
So because our survival no longer depends on it, because everyone can reproduce, everyone can do everything,
Yeah.
and food is easy to get. And
'Cause-
actually, that's
because
I mean-
we can change the environment, right? So like you said, the natural selection, like the environment will cater us and decide who we become and evolve to. But we are changing the environment. We're
Yeah.
building these big cities, and so forth. So we're no longer gonna evolve
yeah.
in that sense. To your point.
Yeah, because that's another reason why I don't think there will ever be a utopia is
Yeah.
because we have a group of people that in a complete society where you would have to fend for yourself and you would have to have the positive traits needed for survival
Right.
can still live on now.
So
And they could actually dominate.
So, what I see is that change will come from people. The first step's got to be how can you change the direction, right? So, the perfect example is like someone like Elon Musk. We need like thousands of those in the country, right?
Not
Or in
gonna
the world.
happen.
But yeah, it's not. But I'm saying if you can have someone that like that puts human progress and people before his own agenda,
Mm-hmm.
that's what can help maybe influence the changes in those countries and cities. Because imagine a city that caters science where at birth you're just told to be curious, like if we can get to it, let's say we don't get to super intelligent AI, but we can't create AI that does all of the man-made labor that we need to run
Yeah.
the city, and all the money that they like their income would just be distributed to everyone.
Yes.
And now just have everyone just cater to their curiosity in science and arts
Right.
and literature,
Yeah.
and that society will prosper and be
Yeah. Yeah, but the funny thing is that I absolutely agree, right? That's the cultural movement that we need. But the weird thing is that it's actually a double-edged sword, even if you don't think about it.
yeah
Because when you promote all these things like, culture, and you promote education,
mm-hmm.
it's actually these people that go to college are the ones that are most easily manipulated. There's actually research showing, why? Because they think they know everything. You've got your college education, especially people on the left nowadays, you can see they think they know everything.
yeah
Like they're the dominant group. They think they're so smart. And the idea is that if you've read or heard of manufacturing consent, I think.
By Noam Chomsky?
Yeah. Chomsky. So he talks about that what is the word? What do you call that? You know what I'm talking about? When you try to get people to follow a certain way?
An ideology?
Not ideology. There's actually a specific word for it. I forget it. But it goes...
Heuristics?
No, I don't know what it is.
you're
Nah.
spitting out some good words, by the way.
Yeah, they're all good words, but not exactly the word I'm looking for. But it kind of
They're
just
close.
goes. But it kind of goes along with. And I think we talked about this too, by the way. That's why I was asking you. But, yeah, because when somebody thinks they know everything, it's
Mhm.
easier to engineer consent among them. Because now you can use marketing, and you can use marketing in a way that like, haha, this is advertising, and it. You don't want to. You can advertise in a way for people that don't like advertising, and you can promote it in that way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's a new movement which I, as a marketer, I don't like much. It's called native content.
Yes.
So native
Yeah.
content is where they basically, it's close to product placement. It's like reading a news story, and there's like a little maybe sign that
Sponsored.
says this is like sponsored, but it's so small you might not even see it. But the ad is basically they just buy the news,
Yeah.
or the advertisers is
Right.
buying the news.
So they make
Yeah.
it seem like a real news. So if you go on
Yeah,
CNN.com
exactly.
and you see the articles that they're
I think
posting,
native content is such bullshit. I mean,
Yeah.
but then again, product placement is not a bad thing either. It's not the worst thing. I'm trying to think because there's a lot of Instagram influencers nowadays that are basically native content. What they do is,
Yeah.
let's say a makeup artist, right? She gets stuff sent to her from companies. She tries it out. She's got like, let's say 100,000 followers. They're getting that product without doing an ad. They're just people
Correct.
following her life. Basically she has like a vlog or something.
Yeah.
They're following her life, but they see all those products, and they're being conditioned
Yeah.
just as an ad would.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just recently built a PC, and I've been, instead of makeup artists, I've been looking at a lot of
I love makeup artists.
technicians that are building PCs and guiding you, and running the benchmarks and all that stuff, so forth. But they get sent all this shit for free, man, and they get like the best powerful computers just not donated to them, but it's sponsored. They're giving these things to these young guys that have a big YouTube following and base and subscribers.
Well,
and
that's
it's
so
it's a product placement.
So it's called influencer marketing, and that's really the new thing. That's why all these people, let's say they do these unboxing videos, or let's say you do game reviews, right? Eventually, the companies are going to start sending you games. It's not really that evil until it gets to a point. It really depends on the person, because the good thing about this is we all like to buy products. We don't have the money or the time to test each product. We need somebody to do it for us.
Right.
We need somebody that's going to influence a decision that we trust. So it's also a good thing too, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I just want to tie that back into manufacturing consent, because all of
we
us
went way
don't.
off topic.
No, but I can tie it in with what you just said.
Go
Like, we all don't have the time to focus and research and learn the truth about everything. So here's a way that somebody could easily manufacture consent with me, and they already do. Sam Harris. Yeah. He could easily say so many things. I don't have the time to go through everything, but I think he's smart, and I think I understand everything in that area. Yeah. Somewhat. That's how I feel. And I could believe everything he says. I'll be like, I know everything. Dude, just
he's
listen to
credible.
Sam Harris.
So
He's
just to
credible.
tie this in with politics a little bit, and to explain why Hasban is angry this week, is that Trevor Noah thing. That's what I feel like. I feel like that's what's happening. That people will just believe shit just because he said it. So a bunch of people who, let's say if Donald Trump did the same thing, and just to give some background, that Barack Obama got paid $400, or he's going to get paid by a Wall Street firm $400,000. And
for a speech.
For a speech,
Fucking
yes.
speech.
For a speech
Incredible.
to a Wall
Wow.
Street firm called Carlton, I forgot the name.
Let's be honest, it's not for a speech.
Yeah, I mean, that's just ridiculous.
I think like to your point, some kickback that he'd probably.
Of course it's kickback.
It's just
right?
a future kickback.
Yeah.
Of course, the companies are smart too. What they're doing is they're not going to give him the money when he's in office.
Yeah,
they're going to
'cause
give
that's
it to him
illegal. That's
outside,
illegal.
and that's what lost, or that's one of the things that lost Hillary Clinton the election.
Because she did it during the election?
That she's been paid before, and she didn't want to release the transcripts of those speeches.
Yeah.
And, obviously, what's he going to say in that speech? Wall Street is awesome. You're paying me $200,000. But he's getting paid $400,000. But just to finish that point, it's been driving me crazy that if you put Donald Trump's name there, people will go nuts. They'd start rioting in the street and shit.
Right.
But if Obama does it, I like Obama. He speaks really well.
Exactly. Right. That's our whole point of that video we're doing right now, that Donald Trump is doing the same things, but his vocabulary isn't there.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah, his mannerisms and his, he's also just an asshole. But that's a whole nother thing. Actually, I've also heard he's a nice guy too, by the way.
I mean,
so I've heard both things.
I've been thinking about it. Would I rather, okay, he's an asshole, but what's better? An asshole that shows you what the system is, or a guy who's smart and doing all these conniving things in the background?
So that's why I kind of hate.
What's more evil?
I feel like that's why I kind of hate Obama more, because he's a hippie. He smoked weed all his life, and he's always been about being open-minded. He says the right things, but he's just fucking with us.
Yeah, that's
what I mean?
That's more evil.
Yeah,
for me,
in some ways it's more evil, and I mean it just drives me crazy. People don't care.
And the amount of people he killed with the drones. Forget around the world. Just go to the stories of Pakistan and Kashmir and the people, how
in
the horrifying
Waziristan or something.
Yeah,
I think,
Waziristan, yeah. Where you have all these people that talk about they just hear drones even when they're not there now.
Yeah, they're
That's
just
horrifying.
Yeah, it just even the military stuff I can understand because both presidents do it, but man, it's so sad because the left I think is something that I think they say if you have a higher IQ, you're more likely to be a liberal. So that's also a fact. That's why more people that get those college educations.
And it's also easy for the media.
Liberal. And then I feel like the media fucks with them though. Those people think they're too smart.
Yeah, Chomsky talks about all this, man.
I was gonna say, so obviously those both processes are evil. And I guess to your point, which one is more evil, right? Our new video that is coming out, we are working on trying to expose some of the corruption within our system, and I was looking at the protest videos. I was looking a lot, especially a few weeks ago with that Berkeley incident happened, where it was almost like a civil war between the right and the left, and that's just fucking scary, man. To see people get pushed to such a degree to the left and the right that they're willing to fuck each other up,
Yeah.
And at this point, conversation is at the table.
All
they want to do is hurt one another, right?
Yeah.
So that, trying to solve these issues through diplomacy or something like that. It's not on the table. It's just you guys suck or go back to your country.
And you know who's worse? The teachers that teach these students, because that's where they're getting these ideas.
But what I was trying to say was like Donald Trump has not helped that situation. He's divided the country a lot. Obama's evil, but then you keep. People can protest and have a civil protest where you can, be mad at one another, but it's getting to the point where people want to kill one another, just because you're a Trump supporter, someone is probably gonna want to kill you, and vice versa. So like the left, like the whole Berkeley thing where they want to shut down hate speeches. Now, like the right's getting pissed off, and now they're like, fuck this. We're gonna go and
I just don't like seeing violence in like any way.
Yeah, but now the right is fighting back. Now they're organizing, and they're like, we're gonna come and show you that the whole country doesn't want this shit.
And by the way, they're the side that loves guns a lot more.
Yeah. So it was crazy. These guys are, have served the military, and they're well worse, and they hunt and all that shit.
There's no doubt that the right is way more
physical.
physical.
Yeah, when you watch these videos, you can see the right will destroy these. What do they call them? Soft.
Well, we all gotta get guns, guys.
Yeah,
I'm telling you guys,
soft snowflakes.
Yeah, and
I think I'll be in the middle. By the way, I don't think I'd take. Yeah, I'd be in the middle. I don't care for either. I was such a lefty dude. You have no idea. Like I have grown up on the Daily Show and just really left thinking, and I just still think I'm a lefty. But what's really that I've learned is that people just like sides, man. If my guy does it, it's cool. If your guy does it, fucking
that's all it is. Like really we talk about it, neither side is exactly
correct.
Right. I think the left
no one
is
has any
more
principles.
Right.
Principles are very important. Having values, because like having strong principles is not that easy. It's really hard to do the right thing sometimes.
Yeah,
It's really easy to take sides.
Yeah, think about it. We do podcasts. We constantly go deep into these conversations. How many people are actually thinking about everything to that detail?
Not a lot.
Because these topics
are
deep. These topics are deep. You can't just have one conversation and know everything. You got to dig deep and really know what you stand for.
I'll be honest. I don't think that anybody I speak to, maybe except you guys, really knows my position on things. Maybe except my close friends. Because if I talk to a Trump supporter, I just start saying stuff that they want to hear, because they're going to tell me more about them. Because if you kind of go against them at all, they kind of just close off. I feel
close the door.
Yeah, so I just kind of okay, yeah, sure, you're right, yeah, man. Like Hillary sucked, and so I say true things, but I say true things that they want to hear. It's not like I make up stuff.
True things you believe in.
Yeah, true things that I believe in, but I'm not going to give my full story, and that makes them open up. And if I talk to somebody on the left, I think I kind of support Trump sometimes, actually.
Yeah.
I try to just. I feel like it's people just want to tell you like who they are right away.
Yeah, that's the best way to convince someone. If you want to persuade someone, you don't want to attack them. You want to understand their position and be understanding. Like, I agree with this and this, but I don't agree with this. Then they'll be more open.
That's exactly what I do. So I try to get them on 2 points where I say, yeah, I agree. And then the third point, well, I say, have you thought about this?
Exactly.
I think Sam Harris says it, right? Like, in order to solve those scenarios, you got to first start off the areas that you agree,
agree on, and then you go from there.
Then build a stage, right? If you start the other way around, then you're already clashing, and then ego comes in play, and then
right.
Then that's
but that video, the videos that you posted of all those clashes, right? And when I was watching that, the whole time I'm thinking, like above that, who's playing chess here?
Yeah,
like who's profiting from all this?
Man, if you go too deep into that, that's my only problem. Is that sometimes I don't go too deep because I feel like you just become like a conspiracy nut. There's, it's not crazy to think that it doesn't matter who's in power, Trump or Obama. We're still going to go to war. Yeah. We're still going to be militaristically, I guess that's the word. It would still be the same.
Yeah,
and that kind of makes you a conspiracy nut, and that.
But why is that bad? Why conspiracy just has a negative connotation, but it doesn't have to be.
I'm just saying that you start if you okay. So, and I think this is what Abby Martin has a problem with people like Sam Harris. It's like, how much do you believe in our institutions? So we all believe that the media lies to us. Mm-hmm. But at some point, we do believe them on some stuff, right? If we're watching. But some people don't believe them on anything. If they say the sky is blue, they'll say, no, it's orange.
Yeah, that's a bit.
So there's like a spectrum of that. And I feel like I try my best, but my brain tells me to go further.
Yeah.
Because you could just say everything they're saying is BS, but that's really not accurate either.
Right.
The media is more biased than fake. I guess the more I'm thinking about it, they're not really fake. They're more biased.
That's a good way of putting it. They're biased to whatever party that they favor, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, they just put a different spin on it.
I would
based
say
on-
biased can lead to fake. Also,
Yeah, exactly. The biased and fake are almost like cousins.
Yeah.
They're very close because your bias or your biased judgment can make you talk about things that are not real, that don't conform with reality.
Yeah, so that becomes fake news.
Yeah, I mean, so like bias being, the first 100 days of Trump were successful, and the other side will say it was not successful because he didn't pass anything, right?
Yeah.
So who's telling the truth? You know?
Remember, so when Obama's first 100 days were over, Sean Hannity had this segment where it started with like doom and gloom and this
Yeah.
like really, Armageddon type like music, like the world is coming to an end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he showed Obama, but now you see the left. That's how they show Donald Trump. So both sides engage in the same thing. You could say that maybe Trump is worse. Let's just say. I still don't know if I believe that like 100% yet. I think I do.
It's so complicated. I think at the end of the day, you've got to be like, not be on the left or right. Just look at what are the truths that, okay, if we want human progress, what are the truths to follow? All right, this. Now, who is promoting those ideas? I guess you got to simplify this complicated
But
system.
you know what the worst thing about Donald Trump is that a lot of his base is that, I was talking about that spectrum. So they're on that spectrum where they're like listening to Alex Jones.
Yeah.
They've gone too far on the spectrum, and anything the mainstream media says, they automatically say is fake.
Yeah.
So if you're saying that if you like, let's say you were having a rational conversation with him, well, you give him stats that are from, let's say, a left-leaning source, they'll say that's fake.
Yeah.
So what can you do? Are you going to go do experiments with them for 10 years and make sure that those, that data matches?
So it's a part of the problem where Donald Trump is a huge issue that I feel when I was watching these protest videos. Like, I've never seen anything like this being pushed to that extent where people are just going. There's no more middle ground. It's just either left or hard right, and he's advocating that. He wants people, his base, to reject everything because he's not a politician, and and he doesn't understand the consequences of his words and his tweets, his actions, and then some people actually take it at face value. And what he's trying to, I mean, it might not happen under his era, but we've just taken a wrong turn towards progress, I think.
No doubt.
Because in order for the system to work, people need to be civil and collaborate and and have war of ideas. And once you're saying the other side is completely fake, then you're just isolating both sides further and further away, and then you can no longer find common ground.
But hold on. If you're saying we've taken a step backward, which we have, but if we completely see the system and how ridiculous it is,
by taking a step backwards,
we might go further forward than we ever did.
Yeah,
right.
I totally agree with that.
It's gonna come at some sort of a cost or expense that we got to pay for it too.
Well, okay. Look,
we're gonna pay for it.
In 4 years,
It's
you've got
better than a
all
war.
these.
Yeah,
We've got
No, it
all
could
these
be
people. We've got all these.
I hope not. But I'm saying if that doesn't happen, it's
It
still
could be
better than
war.
a revolution or something.
Like, we've got all these people that are doing protests and they're getting their voices heard. Right now, let's see if they show up in 4 years and actually vote.
yeah.
Let's see, do they go and vote at the grassroots level, or are they just out
Right.
there hanging out?
Oh, but
you know?
before we get to that part, Vice News did a good segment, like a snippet on North Korea, and I never saw it from that point of view. We're always saying, "Oh, look at North Korea. North Korea is making nuclear weapons and so forth." What they showed was the other side. North Korea. When they wake up, they just see the whole world against them.
Yeah.
So
all the time, yeah.
Everyone's against North Korea. They just feel that they don't know if they're going to be there tomorrow. So why are they building a nuclear weapon? It's not for them to go attack people. They're building it for defense.
Yeah.
So
it's rational for them to build a
do it,
nuclear.
yeah.
I mean,
if you wake up every
it's a
day
very
and-
rational thing to do.
and unite, and you have obviously Obama, Clinton's, and the prior presidents have all had their say on North Korea. But when you have someone like Donald Trump that's saying China better take care of North Korea, that's a problem. It's a big problem. So it's just scaring them. Like, okay, China might, and it is happening. I think it was like last weekend where China did send. I think it was China or North Korea send their tanks at the border because and then just now Trump sent a submarine towards their towards their I forgot what the fucking name of the water was, but those are all symbols for them to be on high alert,
their way of life. I mean, whatever it is, of course, it's a corrupt country, but people still have that feeling. They still think that they're under attack. And why wouldn't you build the defense? You don't care what people think. You don't care about America's interests. You just care about yours.
Yeah.
That was the best part about that a video that we watched before the podcast, which basically in D.C. there was some protests and people were just burning stuff. And some guy that lived there is like, "Why are you burning everything? This is my home."
Yeah.
He's like, "Why don't you?" And he asked one guy, he's like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "Virginia." He's like, "Go to Virginia and burn shit over there."
Yeah.
And then he asked him, he's like, "Who do you support?" He's like, "I don't support anybody. I support myself."
Yeah, but he also said, I don't support Trump. He's
He said, "Oh, okay, he did say." But basically, his point was that the first person you protect in the morning is not your side. You protect yourself.
Yeah. He's like, "Why are you coming here fucking my city up? Go do that shit on your own, dude. This is my home."
It was it's such a funny video too.
And he had a valid point. But I mean, stuff like that, when Trump goes on and says things and tweets things, he doesn't understand the consequences that could lead to. And then he was also just, I think it was this past weekend where he was doing some interview, and he was saying like, my previous life was a lot easier. I didn't think this will be that hard. I'm working really hard now. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, you thought being a reality star or being an empire, being an empire.
Easier. Well, basically, he's just saying that he thought that real estate was harder than being the president.
Yeah, which is insane because you're dealing with so many. You're dealing with consequences and magnitudes of like important decisions on such a degree that have real impact of living and dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and one thing that I think about is, should we be talking about every little thing that Trump says? Because I feel like the media has been doing that since before he was president. He would say something outrageous, and we talk about it. Every media outlet talks about it. So again, going back to that Obama 400K thing, there was like 3 media. It was just a blip in the media.
Yeah.
But if Donald Trump says something, every media outlet covers it. Yeah. And I get it that we should really not normalize his craziness, but like, are we normalizing just being absurd or like overhyping everything he says too? Like everything he says doesn't need 24/7 news coverage. Maybe he does too. Okay,
I was sure it does it. I mean, when you're at the president of the United States,
are we gonna have? Okay, so I kind of get the other side of it too. But then, are we ever gonna have any other news?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the last 2 weeks have been pretty damn good. I think relative to how it started off, I think it's kind of died down to the level of crazy has come down. You're not seeing it being, it's been quiet.
Yeah, but then even that quote that you were just talking about, then they overhype that quote, which again is retarded. But he just says retarded shit. He says it all the time.
But people watch it. You tune in. We all tune in and watch it.
No, that's my point, though. I'm just so. He also makes a good point that you have to go after the crazy things that Donald Trump says. Yeah. That's very true. But my point is, like, they just always need to go after him. They can't resist it. He said something stupid again, which is that he didn't expect the job of the president to be as hard as it is. He thought that real estate was harder, I guess. And the media went crazy. Every outlet. Everybody's sharing it. Everybody's talking about it, but it's not that big of a deal.
Pretty ridiculous thing to say, but yeah, I mean, but that's what he does, and that
it's ridiculous, no doubt. But how much coverage do you want to give it?
Yeah, as much as people keep watching it, I think. I mean, people.
Why, you're a businessman.
Why wouldn't that be
your soul?
I'm just saying why. No, I'm not saying that's what I want to do. I don't want to watch it, but that's what people watch. Everyone, the public wants to watch this. Yeah. So
no, I'm trying to say why wouldn't that be news? As someone that is that delusional, like thought.
So it's news, but okay. So there's got to be other news, right? So the DNC right now is being sued by lawyers. I don't know if they represent Bernie Sanders for basically they rigged it. That I would say it's close to basically fixing the primaries so that Hillary Clinton won. They're being sued right now for that. I think that's a pretty important news story.
Who's suing them?
I think that people from Bernie's side, if I'm right, I just read it this morning, so I don't have the details. But it's not in the news. It's not going to be in the news. Maybe there's going to be one, a small story or something. But it's not going to cover. It's not going to make hay. I feel like that's a pretty big deal that they're actually formally being sued. And by the way, they're being sued, and their response was, "We're a private organization. We can do whatever we want."
Really?
I mean, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
What? That's their response.
Yeah, they're saying that we're a private organization. This kind of stuff happens in every primary where one candidate complains about not getting, but they're private, even though the consequences, are so great. They're a private institution.
I've never heard that way before. That's incredible.
I think we all are gonna get exhausted of Trump news all the time. I feel it has died down a lot compared to how it started off the last 2 weeks.
But he's using that as an effect, isn't he? He's there's so much crazy out there that when he does something really crazy,
right,
it gets his attention. But he does another crazy thing and we forget it.
Right. So
Yeah.
what I was just thinking right now as you were talking is like, do I honestly feel safe sleeping at night knowing that our tomorrow is going to be a significant impact on the world just based on a tweet or something that he said? It just need, if he's having 100 ridiculous tweets a week, one of them could start something really bad. It could be one thing that leads, like that one guy that what's his name that shot that Archduke that we talked about in our live.
Oh, about World War One.
Yeah,
Archduke Ferdinand.
I mean, if he's spitting out garbage tweets all the time, maybe one tweet could be that. That stuff like that does scare me. Because I think we can all agree he's not qualified to be a president of the fucking United States. He's not, right? So that part kind of scares me. Like, but the good thing is, like, my brother-in-law from London always asks me, like, oh shit, like we see this shit on the news all the time. How's America? How's things change? I'm like, dude, to be quite honest, we live in a big city. It's business as usual. Nothing has impacted my life. I don't see shit on the way to work. There have been some major protests by the Trump Hotel in downtown. I've seen that, but even at that, it was pretty simple. People were just protesting. But
I just had to drive a little longer.
Yeah, but my work, everything it's on the news that you're seeing all this shit. It's all on the TV. But other than that, in Chicago, I'm not seeing it.
So this kind of goes back to how we started. How we were saying that money is kind of fake. This
is a story.
This fear is also a little fake.
Yeah,
it's like it didn't just happen these last 2 years with Trump. I think last year, I guess, with Trump running, it's built up, and now there's this thing in our head that there's something wrong. But I keep telling myself, I'm like, wait, isn't this the greatest time in human history ever?
Yeah. Still is.
Still is for now. Oh, well, for today, anyways, unless something bad happens.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we want to.
But even then, we're probably still going to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least we think so. Maybe if we go to 10 other countries and live there, we're like, man, it's a lot better.
No, I mean top 10 globally compared to like other times. I don't mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think my advice would be,
stop watching the news.
However,
no, I think it is important because it is so many unqualified people running a country that we shouldn't get so comfortable and take our eyes off it completely.
Yeah, I'm wrong. Don't listen to me. He's right.
If there were qualified people that had experiences running the government, you can have some sort of hope. But right now, like the Secretary, what's his name, Rex Tillerson, these are all CEOs that were not politicians, now are running the country. These are all businessmen running the country. So, like, they don't have prior. People say it, like, from the inside of the Trump administration have vocally said, we have no, there's a lot of, like, everyone's just winging it, and and it could backfire, and that's kind of scary. So, like, just keep, don't get depressed listening to it, but just pay attention to it enough where you don't want to get shit out of, there's got to be some sort of control, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like we have this bullshit system that, there is no such thing as a perfect system.
Yeah.
But even then, the way capitalism has taken over, we have a bullshit system and we keep bullshitting, and all these politicians feed it bullshit and keeps running.
Right. And the thing is, he is there now, and all we can just hope that he does the right things. He doesn't take his country to complete
It's a lot
shit.
to hope for, but
yeah,
you can hope.
They say that we should feel okay, or a lot of people who say don't be too scared because the institutions we have are stronger than Trump. They've been built for, the universities we have.
Yeah, and I don't think these big banks and this corrupt democratic machine is
First of all, do you know what's bad for business, or I guess local business more than anything, except the military industrial complex? People dying, instability, especially in this country, that would not be good for business. And let's be honest, in America, we love business.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that thing that you said that now globally is one of the best times to live. And I was thinking about the data on depression, and that we only tend to think about it's the best time to live because people aren't dying as much. And back then it was just everything was war.
Yeah, are they happier today?
But are they happier today?
So I do agree. So
it's fun.
Go on.
Sorry, it's funny. Like I was having one of my coworkers at work is about to retire next year, and so she's 64 going on 65, right? So she was saying the same thing, like, in her mother's age, she's like, they keep putting on the media and the news, well, people live a lot longer, live a lot longer. She's like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, because all my friends are dropping off like flies. She's like, I made it to 64, but all of my friends and family just fell off starting 55. I lost all my it's been 10 years and I lost so many friends. they just went off, and she's like, everyone's just fucking stressed.
Maybe it's the rich people that live longer.
Yeah, people that are well off live longer.
Yeah,
but yeah, she's like, the stress is, it's so like enormous in pressure of like, on people that it's. I mean, yeah, there's medication to keep you alive a lot longer if something tragic or diseases happen to you. But stress you can't control. Like, like if you get stressed, one day your heart or your brain just gives up on you and you don't wake up.
Yeah, stress has real physiological consequences.
It's like I see it as like that that smoke that comes inside you. It just takes all over your body.
Yeah,
and it's
I feel like being a human today is harder in some ways because before your purpose might be some kind of war, or you might not need to have a purpose. And maybe if you weren't working, it's not as big of a deal because a lot of people are not working. But in today's society, it's so hard in the sense of making people happy. You have to be working, you have to be busy, you have to have projects, you have to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then, the standards are so high because you're watching people on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. And you're just trying to be human, man. You're just trying to enjoy your day, but you kind of compare yourself to like other people. And that's natural, by the way. And these kinds of things happen. And it's just hard. I feel like you can make yourself feel like your life sucks so easily.
Because of Facebook and Instagram, you get everyone like, it's just beautiful how, and I'm part of it too, right? So like we don't go on Facebook and post anything, but as soon as you travel, you got to post something. You got to let the world know you're traveling.
Yeah.
You got to check into a spot that you haven't, since you haven't done anything. You got to let the people know that, and then you want people to click and say, oh, I like it, or comment, just to feel, part of that system. And then when you don't get likes or comments or something, that you feel left out or people don't like me, there's a good side to it, and there's a lot of negative side to it too. So people obviously feel like they're
100% agree.
Are left out or not liked, and that also puts like a social stress on you.
Yeah.
Because you see other people. So some of it does seem fake, and some of it does seem organic, but. And through the podcast and whatnot, like I've been using social media a lot more than I have in the past. And it is interesting to see that system, because you can go on someone's page and you kind of tapped into their conscious a little bit, right? You tapped into their eyes a little bit, because their optics of where they are, what they're seeing, what the pictures you've got into they're letting you into their brain. Not all of it. It's like a little curtain, but they're letting you see the personality that the brain creates for them inside who they are. And
they're choosing the side they want to show you.
Exactly.
Yes.
They're not showing your true self. The brain is putting on this show, the stage, and you're this character or actor in this world.
Yeah,
it's like your resume.
It's like, how do I want to be? And that's that side you portray out there.
Yeah,
but we all do. Okay, so I think about that side a lot. In fact, I've been thinking about it a lot. Like I post on like an Instagram story, and I'm looking at how many people looked at it. I'm like, what a fuck up, what a fucking weirdo I am for doing this in the first place. But also, it's kind of cool to show my life to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's it's a really double-edged sword. Like, these people, especially before, I never Snapchatted. I never did Instagram stories. And, so if you think about Facebook and stuff, you post stuff at a time. You post it. You make a post. Mm-hmm. But Snapchat or a YouTube vlog, for example, that's a live look into your life.
Yeah.
So people are looking in.
Right.
So, and just to give people a background, I'm in social media marketing, so eventually I had to start doing it more personally too. So I was just thinking, I was like, the people that are looking at my stories now,
are seeing a window.
I need to make a story for them too. Because it's just like like anything you do in life, you want to do it well.
Right.
If you're going to show people your life, you want to show that life in maybe a sequential order. So I was talking to my friend. I'm like, dude, sometimes I start thinking about what I'm going to Snapchat before I'm doing the thing. And we're just joking about it. We're like, that's weird.
It is weird.
I agree.
No.
There's like this correlation between people that use not everyone, just people that use Facebook, and then with depression and stuff. And I was just thinking, it's because everyone just shows their best moments. They're not showing their bad moments.
So they say that they show their highlight reel.
Yeah. Highlight reel, exactly.
It's just constant pictures of them making layups.
Yeah,
but they don't show every other shot they miss.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is cool to, like, when I go on it, like, you click on someone's page and then you see their life, like, it's that story resides in a conscious, and I don't know, it's just cool to think that this is a portal to their brain in a sense. And And yeah, it's funny. It's all highlights. That's all it is. You go on someone's thing that hasn't checked in for ages, but as soon as they travel or as soon as they are getting married or something like big events happening, that's their highlight. So
Right.
they had 0 highlights the last 6 months. Boom, they have
Something
highlights.
just happened.
Yeah.
Were they dead? Were they dead the whole time?
So it's like how constantly
true.
the update should be.
Yeah,
Like
it's
Yeah.
true. But then I also realized that social networks are getting more narrow. For example, our WhatsApp group is just one, and we do it on Snapchat too, where we have a group where we post to each other. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I want to tell you guys about what's happening.
Yeah.
I want to know what's happening in your life.
Yeah, I feel...
It's just how many people do you want?
Wanna
But
show it to you, yeah.
Social media networks before, Facebook was the big thing, which is everybody.
Yeah.
But now Snapchat, which is only the people whose phone numbers you might have,
Right.
probably people close to you.
Right.
Or
I think they say there's
WhatsApp.
like a number. I think they say it's 7. 7 is the amount of people that you can have intimate relations with. More than like close enough, close. Like not somebody you see once a year, but somebody you can get to know and actually be a real friend to. It's 7. That's also a Fibonacci number, is it?
I think 8 is. I think it's 5, 8.
Oh, no, it's not. Damn.
not.
so it
I
must
just
have been
wanted to throw
8.
that in. It must have been 8.
It's got to be 8. Oh, never mind.
Let's make it 8.
I'm pretty sure it's 8 now.
I could do 8.
But I think about social media a lot because even except Z maybe, but even Z is in that WhatsApp group, so he's kind of in it. But even if you text, that's also social media
Yeah, of course.
because you're texting. For example,
social reasons.
yeah, you're being social. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of
I guess for me, when I think of social media, it's interacting with people you don't see on a daily basis or don't actually see regularly. But if we see each other regularly, then to me, it's no longer social media.
Okay, no, that's a good criteria. And I was just talking to somebody yesterday. I think they're going into psychology, and we were talking about like Instagram. We're just joking with each other. He was telling me about this one girl. He's like, she's a 10 and she's getting a PhD. She's doing a postdoc, and he was just talking about this girl that I think he used to be in a relationship. Anyways, forget that part of the story. But he showed me her like Instagram. She only had like 200 followers, and she was really, really pretty.
Yeah.
And I was joking with him. I'm like, 200 followers? She's not that hot. Because somebody in social media, you'll see that, especially pretty girls,
Yeah.
they'll have followers from like 1,000 to 2,000.
Yeah.
I mean, how the fuck how many people can you know? And then you're showing your life to them and stuff like that. And he was
Yeah.
saying that social media disorder, especially for, I guess that's kind of sexist to say for girls, specifically, is going to be a real problem. In the next 5-10 years, that's going to be a real diagnosis, like Instagram, some kind of issue with that.
You get the
Wow.
Instagram disorder.
Yeah, that's going to be a real psychological disorder that you can, be given a pill for or something like that.
Jesus.
Or you'll have something for it.
Yeah.
It's funny, like what our consciousness will lead to, right? Because I mean, if you have 2,000 followers, that's you feeling wanted. Well, people
Yeah.
want me, so now I gotta live up that image and lifestyle
Exactly.
to cater to the wants and build upon this platform that
It's like a business. You're getting like customers to subscribe to your life.
So that's
So
how I
the-
use my social media, as literally to promote my business. I'll be straightforward.
It probably for those girls, probably starts off modest, and in order
It just
to
keeps working out.
it starts off modest. Oh, it's nothing, but then the clothes start shrinking, the followers starts going up.
Exactly. There's like a diagram,
Yeah.
or there's like a line chart. That goes,
Every shot is a
grab.
butt shot. Like
Yeah.
what the fuck's
What is going on?
One of my friends told me that we go and run here, and he said that some girl was walking around with like a selfie mirror, like a giant mirror that you put under your arm. So
We're losing your audio.
Oh, you
Sorry,
talk
no,
closer.
I was just saying that that this girl was walking around with like a mirror. So they were in like a park, and she was carrying around a mirror,
Oh, like a whole mirror.
a whole mirror.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
and I mean, it's crazy how the
Idiocracy.
system works, right? Only guy that's been able to do it at that level was that guy named Dan.
Dan Blazarian or something.
Yeah,
Blazarian.
he's the only guy that's been able to.
Well, to be honest though, I can totally understand. But he was rich already too, right? I think he's rich and he's. And
No, he
it
says
looks like a good-
he was on Joe Rogan and he said he made his money through poker, but people are
Yeah,
skeptical
people,
about that story.
skeptical. Yeah.
It's like, how the fuck do you go that rich playing poker in
And-
like
and
a
yeah.
series of nights?
Well, I mean, his Instagram, I've gone through it. It's pretty funny too.
Yeah,
he's
it's
like,
hilarious.
there's like a picture where he's literally getting head, but he's not showing that he's getting head.
Yeah.
He just has a new hot girl all the time.
Yeah, he watches
if
like
you-
a movie with like 50 women. He's like one big ass
but,
guy.
but to be honest, that's again, there has to be two different things. Every time somebody Snapchats, or even if I do it, I'm always thinking you're seeing the final product, right? But you're not seeing how many times they tried to shoot that or what it took to make that, to compose that.
Yeah.
And even Dan Bilzerian, dude, I just feel like it's all marketing.
Yeah.
He's just showing himself. I'm sure he lives that life too,
Yeah.
but it's almost a business that he's running. He
Yeah,
gets a model. That
it's
model
what-
gets popular. He gets more popular, and just
He has
keeps
some like
growing.
50-some million followers or some ridiculous amount.
Whoa.
I think that's too
Yeah.
much. It gotta be less than that.
Yeah,
No,
sounds
it's
like-
more.
check
Look
that.
it up. I think he was on the show. He was saying that he has some.
Oh, okay, maybe not on Instagram. Well, I can just Google that.
I think Instagram he has.
No, like I said, I'm just interested now what the number is. Go
Yeah.
on.
But he has crazy amount of following because he's the only guy that's doing that shit at that level ever. He's the first ever doing this shit.
So what is he doing? I'm sorry.
22.1 million. So you're not that far actually. That's higher than that.
But I think if you combine all the other shit, it might.
And then
be,
Facebook is 121 million. Holy
Yeah,
shit!
so
So you
that's-
are right.
yeah, he has this crazy amount of following.
So what does he do exactly?
He
12
got
million. Sorry,
He
not
got
121.
he got rich playing poker apparently, and he
Yeah, I'll put on some of his like images by the way.
and he just he's living the bachelor life that you can possibly imagine.
Like dream, like
he,
full on.
He has
Just
he
takes
goes
pictures
to
with
dinner
naked
with
women all the time.
Yeah, he's hanging out with this naked chicks.
Here,
and
look,
shit.
there's some pictures of and these are the
He's
pictures he posts.
He's flying on a private airplane with like 50 girls and they're all butt naked.
Yeah, like a new hot girl every day, and then he'll show them.
And then he
Holy
likes
shit.
guns too. He's just always
He
on
likes guns.
yeah, so he's always guns.
It's like the
Yeah.
man people want to follow,
That's like
like
what
a manly
you.
man, and then
That's like
Damn.
being cool.
So,
here,
he-
I think this cartoon probably describes him.
So yeah, he's making his own TV show, whatever. But he looks like and almost like that Heineken commercial guy, the most interesting man in the world.
Mhm.
Oh really?
He looks just like him.
Real quick, so like the Kardashians, for instance, they have been paid $250,000 a post on Instagram. They can charge up to $250K. So selling yourself,
placement.
getting more and more and more gets you
Holy
more
shit.
followers, gets you more revenue on ads.
Yeah.
$250K.
That is crazy. Wait, but that seems like I would just do. Well, I guess they don't do advertisements all the time.
That's Chloe and Courtney. Chloe has 64.1 million followers on Instagram, and Courtney has 54.3.
Oh, so they probably post normal stuff, and then once in a while, or I would just post every time and go do an ad, but then people would stop
Yeah.
following you.
Yeah.
So you have to keep your page. By the way, even these influencers, they can't be too fake because like humans know who humans can sense when someone's being fake. That
Yeah.
kind of makes them stop. Humans just hate advertisements.
Yeah.
It's funny as hell. Like
So funny.
Joe Rogan's explanation of the Kardashians is like if the aliens were to land, the stand up that he does, where he bit,
Oh, he explains. Yeah.
he's like if the aliens were to land, like how the fuck do you explain them the Kardashians? Like because like she is making all this money for what? So like, he's
Yeah.
like you gotta start off from like the O.J. Simpson case where their father Robbie Kardashian or Rob Kardashian,
Yeah, I think
uh,
Robert actually.
because of OJ killing, his wife and the biggest trial of history, and then he was his best friend that was also involved in the trial. He represented him as a lawyer.
And some people say that he might have taken the murder weapon from OJ.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Some people accuse him of that. He says he didn't do it, obviously, but some people accuse him of
Yeah.
basically
So-
taking
Wait, what was
so-
that?
So, I don't know if you guys have seen The People versus OJ. Really
I
good
wanna
show, by
watch
the
it.
way.
Oh
I'll
my
finish
god,
it,
that show is
so-
great.
Oh, so you watched it too?
Dude, watch that
Yeah,
show.
it's so good.
It
You-
starts off, you won't turn it off.
Sorry, is
So
that
good.
the one? What channel was that one on?
I thought
AMC.
I saw it on Netflix.
It is on Netflix, but he's asking which channel to
Yeah, I think it came on
'Cause
ABC or
the-
something. And
there's-
then,
ESPN.
There's two series that did the OJ trial.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
so that's the
there-
new
there-
one.
No, there's the ESPN one that's the actual documentary. It's named a similar thing, and
this
there's
is like a
there's
drama version of that.
There's so it's like done as a TV show.
Oh, I see it.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
so good.
The People versus OJ on
and
FX.
yeah, and then and then obviously at that time when it happened, we were young. How old was I?
Yeah, I
Well,
don't
this
recall
This happened like
anything.
93 or something.
Yeah,
no?
so I was like 4 or 5. So yeah, like at that time I didn't understand it, but when you watch how crazy of a series of events that happened and how he got off the fucking hook, it's just beautiful. Not beautiful, but it's like it's just so entertaining.
Yeah.
Entertaining and like just it just grabs you right away. The story
Right.
is so fucking crazy, and then so it shows that Robbie Kardashian, because of him, he got exposure through all the media and whatnot, and then that's how they made their way into the inner circle in the LA night scene. and the Kardashians. Then the Kim Kardashian became friends with what's her name?
But they got used to being
Hilton.
famous at like a really, really young age.
Yeah.
Mm.
But Kim Kardashian became even more famous when she started hanging out with Paris Hilton, and she, you know, every time Paris Hilton at that time when she had the own reality show was famous, Kim Kardashian will always be in the background coming out of restaurants. So every time their paparazzi was taking pictures, they see this insanely beautiful girl in the back, and then, you know, who the fuck she? Well, that's Kim Kardashian, you know, Robbie Kardashian's daughter, and then boom, that's exactly
Just
like
like
that.
And then also the mom. She's the one that like runs that empire. If you think
Yeah.
about it, I mean, they are just a company. They're just a company about being famous.
Yeah.
You know, they know how to make, because so for example, if you, just because I work in media, we all do media, it's fun to watch how media works. A lot of the news stories that you see are not like organic news stories where people went and like they figured this out or there was paparazzi. What happens is, let's say on Snapchat you go and you see a story about the Kardashians. The Kardashians gave them that story. You know, they took the pictures. They might have even wrote out the story and they give it to them. They say, we're gonna do this. You meet us here. Oh, we get more. So they get more clicks. They get more famous.
Yeah.
And so now at this point, they just make the media and they give it to the media.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just sell the pictures.
I still don't understand who the fuck is watching them. Like, even
Dude,
at this,
everybody.
yeah, even
man.
now,
First of all,
they're still interesting now.
First of all, there's like a new generation of them now. There's there's the two daughters.
Kendall Jenner.
Yeah, Kendall and first of all, I think Kendall Jenner is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. I think the other one's really weird.
yeah,
But
I don't understand that. Who's that? Every time I'm on my fucking flipboard thing, I always see Kendall Jenner, whatever.
So yeah, one is like a copy of Kim Kardashian where she looks super fake and she has like big boobs and shit. And then the other one is like, she actually seems more like normal, I think. Like she doesn't have all this cosmetic stuff done to
So
her.
she's just a model that's becoming famous.
Yeah, I think she might be the #1 model out there right now.
Okay.
So she's also a model.
So
Okay.
she's actually doing something.
Technically, I guess. I mean, if modeling
that
is
her?
doing something. Yeah, so, and then, you know, their mom runs that media company. Anytime they're in the news, she's also doing modeling, and, you know, they're famous for being famous.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
But yeah, I
And
mean,
it's just trickling down to the rest now.
but you would think like any other reality show, like after a 10-year run, you would think that shit would die down. But
Well, no,
she's
but
still
they
going.
did something good. They took advantage of social media.
Yeah.
Like, I think
So I guess
that
this built-
Snapchat thing, I'm saying,
yeah.
dude, they're on Snapchat all the time, and I have like my young cousins on it. I'm like, dude, and they show pictures of like Kylie Jenner like in a bikini and shit. Like, dude, if you saw, this is garbage news, man. Like garbage news. Like, and you know, it's always on there. It's like the first thing after you scroll down your stories, you see a story about Kylie Jenner. Of course, their mom and them, they probably made that story. They gave that story to Snapchat. Snapchat puts it on. People look at it, and you know, there you go. They keep getting more famous.
Yeah.
Now they're using social media. Why do people like them? I think they like them because of continuity. They've already know about the Kardashians as a brand, and you keep learning.
Yeah. Got famous and rich for no reason.
Yeah.
Bizarre. If they can do it.
Oh
we
well,
can
I think
do it.
Kanye West had Kanye West had the best line. I forgot how it goes in the song, but he goes, "My chick got rich from a home movie."
Damn.
Oh shit.
Because sex tape, just to be
Yeah,
clear.
yeah.
What sex tape? Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with social media. Anyone can become the next superstar or reality star overnight just by one viral video. You know, it could be you and your cat does something weird, it
gotta
jumps
be a
out a
cat.
window and whatever, you know, and then next thing you're famous.
I don't think it's that simple, but it's close.
Sometimes there are those
Yeah.
viral moments that just happen.
The
And-
thing. So you're right, it can, but it doesn't stick like theirs did.
Yeah,
That's
true.
what I meant to say, actually.
Like,
Yeah,
right
how long
now,
can you keep it going?
Yeah.
that girl from How About That? Cash Me Outside. That girl is like a millionaire now.
Really?
For being ridiculous on
Wait.
Dr. Phil's show.
Really?
You guys seen that, right?
No, I
Yeah.
haven't.
There was a video on Facebook that showed two girls jumped her and they caught her outside.
Oh, really? They stole her money or
so-
something?
No, they just beat her up
Oh,
because she's known for, you know,
She talks shit.
cash me outside, like she wants to fight some
Oh,
chick.
they actually caught her outside.
Yeah, they caught her
Yeah.
outside to beat the shit out of her.
I guess I still wonder about what happened to that guy. Remember that guy during something? He's like, hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
shit was so funny.
Yeah.
They're raping everyone out here.
Yeah.
What was the context of that? I can't even remember.
I think it was like a home robbery or
Yeah,
something.
someone
yeah.
broke into his sister's
Yeah.
apartment and
What was the backstory of that?
and
Yeah.
he robbed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude was hilarious.
Yeah,
That was funny. Now, yeah, I would be interested in more of his videos. You know, so like, what happened to him?
Yeah.
But that's a problem with. So again, it ties in with this. I think this podcast made me do it more too. Because after this podcast, I was like, I think I had a conversation with you. I was like, all right, Ali, we're doing a podcast, so that means we want people to listen. That means that's also going to make more people know about us. So are we trying to become famous or something? You know, it was just I don't think we are. I think for us the message is more important.
Yep.
But it kind of goes together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. For me, it's just like we have these conversations anyway. Might as well record them and see.
Yeah. I don't know.
if
I
people
think
can find
our
any
intent
value.
is pure. But then
Yeah.
if somebody wants to see it from like another point of view,
Yeah.
it kind of becomes the
Yeah.
same thing as we are accusing people of.
Yeah.
So we all have this human instinct, I think, to get our word across. Some people, I guess, want to get their body across.
Yeah.
But we want to get our message across. And then I was also thinking about content. Is like you as far as content goes, and I'm talking about all kinds of content. You can't just do it once. You got to keep doing it again and
Yeah.
again. It's
That's-
such a competitive content.
You gotta stay relative, right?
It's such a noisy world. Yeah, you got to really we came out with the first video. We got to do better with the second video. We got to do better, or maybe better, or just as good with the third.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just a
'cause-
struggle.
Yeah. I mean, the videos that we are doing on our YouTube channel, we are trying to spread that message, and it would be nice if more people, if the reach was there. And I think it's just time and it's being consistent and putting this stuff out.
I think keep pushing.
So, yeah, keep pushing it. For us, like right now, I just feel like we're, I guess, to everyone's in their world, feel we're doing good, or adding value or making a
No,
difference.
I think we're
you know?
trying to add value. I don't think they
Yeah.
care about being
That's
adding
true.
value.
That's true.
That's the
I think
difference,
I think that we do care about adding value. I don't think a lot of people do. I think
Yeah.
they're in it for themselves.
However, if it was cheaper, we would love to have Kim Kardashian promote it.
Yeah, if Kim Kardashian can
Totally
promote
fine
it,
with that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because then that means if she is going to promote it, we added some value
dude,
to her life.
have you ever heard
You know
Kim
what I mean?
Kardashian say that what I really want from this is I want the world to be a better place?
Yeah,
Maybe
Really?
she's-
yeah. I know. Does she do it? Or
I don't
I'm
think-
sure that she said something that's
No.
positive before, but is
I-
that really her life mission?
you never see them using that platform to bring any good or any exposure to any cause or anything. At least I haven't.
That's a money platform, bro.
No,
Yeah.
I'm
It's
saying
all
like,
about
at least-
money.
but people
they are
once
business people, man.
Yeah, but
and shrewd ones, I bet.
No, that's what I'm saying. So like, I've never seen them do anything or some, like when people get that famous and rich, they use that platform to cater some good into the world.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never
I really
seen.
want to see
or-
what their net.
But like
worth
you,
is.
you can say that about a lot of famous people. I feel
True. Yeah.
like
That's true.
you can.
Because a lot of people are just saying, I'm in it to win it, right? So like, you only
Yeah.
live once, going afterlife.
Some
if you
people
believe in
mix it.
afterlife.
Some people just mix it. It's
And-
like, go ahead, finish.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like the new album by Kendrick Lamar, I believe, is it that
Yeah.
new one?
Sure.
And he has like really good messages inside of his rap. So he's also making money, but he's also spreading good information.
Yeah, J. Cole does the same thing too. He's always trying to spread some good messages, and like a lot of rappers don't. I think Kanye
Childish.
used to do that. He's kind of stepped back from
Does
that.
Kanye even rap anymore?
I don't
Yeah, he
know.
does. But
I was saying, even what's that guy, Lawrence
Krauss.
Krause? Yeah, even like there's some like, what's it called, like panels that I've seen him on where he always caters like the thing of, hey, I think it was with Richard Dawkins where he was promoting the, hey, don't tell him the whole thing, make him go buy the book. Don't forget
yeah.
you want to earn money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comments where he's, and I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but like for me, I always feel like the message will come first. You know what I mean? But there's been few snobbish points where I've seen him like, someone with that much knowledge and background about the universe. But I guess
Who said this to him?
Lawrence, his last name Krause.
Yeah.
He's the one, but I thought he's the one who's talking, and then someone else is saying it to him. Hey, don't forget about that. You gotta make money off this. Lawrence, is this his book?
Yeah, I was watching some old video like from 2012 or something with like a panel that he was on. Then I seen him do it a few more times, but maybe it was just one of those
You know,
weird moments.
Also, to come up with this kind of information takes time, so he should be compensated so he can
Yeah.
continue that work.
Yeah, I was
Right.
gonna say that. I mean, his time is. I mean, if he's putting that much time into finding truth and all
Yeah.
that, I think we should compensate
Lawrence
so he can
Krauss?
continue doing
Yeah.
that.
Lawrence Krauss?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, just if anyone is listening, listen to the Lawrence Krauss and Sam Harris. I think that's one of the best podcasts I've ever heard.
Yeah, I think I've listened.
I
to
thought
it.
it was. I heard he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, right?
Yeah, he was on.
Yeah,
that
I've
too.
heard that one, and so it's like the same thing. You can hear
no,
both.
I think I heard it back and
Yeah.
I thought the Sam Harris one was like way more
'cause
deeper
you-
because he
you-
talked
you-
about the nuclear arms and
Yeah.
how flimsy it is.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
talked
yeah.
about more advanced concepts
That
too,
shit-
because
yeah.
that he wouldn't do with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Like he talked about what we actually know, and one of the coolest things that he talked about is I think we've discussed this word a lot, esoteric.
Yeah.
So he has esoteric knowledge of the universe that we just don't.
Mm-hmm.
He goes and he does these theoretical. He does, you know, he. Oh, I guess I don't know how you say it, but he studies theoretical physics, and he knows the universe in a way that we cannot even comprehend.
Right.
So he has this knowledge that's almost forbidden, just like in religious books. And I think that's what the comparison he was making. Because some people have all this knowledge of, you know, let's say the Quran or the Bible, and they say you really have to study it and stuff. But he has a knowledge of the universe that's esoteric. It was just interesting how he was talking about that. Like, he knows the universe. He goes and he does his math.
Yeah.
And he knows the universe in such a way that we can't understand. And he comes back and he talks to us.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's weird.
He has
Yeah.
a deeper perspective of the universe.
Yeah, and like even we're thinking about 4 dimensions. The guy works in like 8 or 9, maybe 11.
Maybe 10.
Yep. And with that, I think we're running out of time
Yeah. It's a
for
good run.
today.
Yeah, damn, we went long. I thought it was a
Yeah.
We had a good
fun
flow.
conversation.
Thought let it go.
It's good fun like always.
Let it ride.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun today, especially
Especially today.
The other ones,
I guess the last few words would be, you know, we're working on this cool new video. It's coming out hopefully in a few weeks. So keep an eye out for you know, on that. And you can do that by, you know, liking us on Facebook, following us on YouTube, subscribe us there. So when this video does go up, you know, you'll check it out. We are putting a lot of hard work into it, and hopefully you guys find it entertaining and useful. And if you like it, then always share it. And the biggest way you can obviously support our podcast, if you find any value in it, you know, please share it amongst friends and family. You know, sharing it helps us grow, and the more we grow, the more a better job. We'll still do a better job no matter what. I'm providing the content to you guys as much as we can. As always, thank you for listening to us, and check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and any other social media platform that we exist on. Take it easy.